Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. I am joined by Michael Huber at the end. Post Shenmue III, Michael Huber.
Yeah.
In between us, we've got Bradley Ellis.
Hi.
Brad, I say this with love. If you could choose to be a Jedi or a Sith, you would be a Sith, right?
I don't know, man. Like, both have benefits?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, being a Sith is real dangerous, dude.
Real dark.
Because there can only be two.
Gonna get stabbed in the back at some
Yeah,
point.
like, that's just the way it goes. Like, yeah, you're going to get betrayed no matter what.
I think you could be one of them.
Okay, cool.
I believe in it.
Cool.
I'm going to be hosting you through this. I am Ben Moore. Star Wars has been on my brain
Everyone's,
a lot.
I feel like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's come back.
Yeah.
That Mandalorian show, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen episode 5 yet
Neither have
of it, but you have. No
Yeah.
spoilers.
Don't say
No
anything.
spoiler.
Don't say
Not
anything.
gonna look at you.
I think Jedi Fallen Order is pretty good. And so I thought maybe we would open up this podcast as Star Wars fans talking about episode 9. Because there's something that I've just been like trying to sit with and I just can't. Like, how the fuck are they going to bring Palpatine back in a way that makes any goddamn sense?
I mean, I use Orochimaru as a point of comparison, and like Voldemort and Sauron,
Horcrux.
these big bads that never truly go away.
Yeah.
And to me, Palpatine is like one of the most legendary manipulators in the history of all pop fiction. So I'm ready to believe it. It's just, can they do it in a believable
Convincing
way?
way.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so ready to believe it. If anyone could manipulate life and death like that, it'd be Palpatine.
So let's talk about like Voldemort and Sauron. I like that you brought these comparisons up because I think what kind of makes it work in those stories, I think let's use Sauron as an example. Sauron is just kind of this looming threat, right? Like, he's in the background, you know he's there, but the thing with the Emperor is that you see him. He takes up, you have that confrontation.
Yeah.
He becomes less of a looming threat in the background and more of somebody that you just deal with up front. He is the end point, and then you see him go down. And I think having that, just having it be dumped into that
Yeah.
pit.
But what about Fellowship? The very beginning, when you see Sauron go down by Isildur.
But that's in the past. That's in the
Yeah,
past. So
but
it
now
adds
Return
this
of the Jedi is in the past. Now
Yes.
that's like the second age, and now we're in the new
I think
third
Ben-
age.
right, but I'm saying, like New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Like those were all movies. They weren't just a flashback.
For sure.
You know,
for
we
sure,
spent
for sure,
2
for sure.
hours
True.
we spent
Fair point.
with all of those movies, and so I think it being in a flashback, especially the first thing that you see, that world building, I think it just lends it kind of more of this mystical thing where the looser you make something when you bring it in, I just feel like the Emperor is so well defined, and now after the prequels, even more defined, and so like him just showing up. If there were
Especially because there's no
Right.
even whispers
Right.
in 7 or 8 about it.
right,
Just
unless
like
they
our-
throw something
Yeah.
together, yeah.
Just like, oh.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's the thing is if you could maybe think back and piece. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody, and I won't. But in Watchmen, there's a big reveal that just happened in the latest episode. And it's pretty crazy. And what's kind of cool about it is if you think about it, you immediately start noticing the foreshadowing that they did in past episodes. And it feels that big moment, because that foreshadowing was there, it
Feels
kind of
good.
makes it feel
It's so
earned.
earned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm just worried.
For sure.
And I think that's a problem with The Last Jedi, right? Is like things just kind of happen and they don't feel earned. And so I think that is what is making me so hesitant with episode 9, is because I feel like I've already had that sensation with this movie.
Yeah. What if Vader's helmet is the Horcrux?
It could be, dude. I don't know.
I'm kidding around.
Brett, what do you think?
Oh, about Palpatine coming back?
Yeah.
So I hope there's a good explanation for it. I honestly love Palpatine. I just think he's such an awesome villain. I just love him, dude. He's so cool. Just such a fun villain, dude.
Master manipulator.
We've said do it to each other for
he's like
years.
He's a legendary villain.
Yeah.
And I just love him. And it seems to be after Last Jedi, there is no big bad guy in the background kind of thing because, Snoke got axed up really quick. So I think they need someone else to help deal with that conflict of Kylo and Rey. So, let's have Palpatine do it. But yeah, I just hope how it's implemented is good.
What if Snoke was like a weird clone of Palpatine or something?
I mean, sure.
Some Clayface, kind of offshoot.
Sure, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. That wouldn't be
Clayface
out of the realm of
Snoke.
possibility in Star Wars. Anakin was literally born from the Force.
Yeah.
So anything could happen.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm even spending time
can I just bring
debating-
something up too?
of
So
course.
Palpatine talks about Darth Plagueis and all that stuff
Yeah.
about life and
Darth
keeping
Plagueis the Wise.
keeping people from dying and stuff like that. So he could have some forbidden Force knowledge. I don't know, dude. There's just a bunch of weird stuff they could do.
Reanimation jutsu.
That's kind of the amazing thing about Star Wars is
You can do whatever the
as
hell you want.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You just start peeling back your layers and you're like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
They are
Anything
just
you want.
cobbling this together with just insane ideas. They've done so much.
Yeah.
Over the decades. But I think the reason why I'm spending any time thinking or worrying about this at all is just because with The Mandalorian and with Jedi Fallen Order,
And Episode 9.
well, I haven't
three
seen
of it.
Episode 9
Still,
yet.
the fact that it's coming, it's this is
Sure.
this is a Star Wars moment.
Yes.
Unlike other moments. This is a big deal. This is a big moment as a Star Wars
There's
fan.
a lot happening.
There's a lot happening
Yes.
with Star Wars right now.
I agree with that totally. And I think just with Disney Plus being able to just easily watch.
access,
Yes. So, yeah, you're right. I think that's a good point to bring up. There's a lot happening. But what I'm trying to say is, those two things have kind of made me feel a way that I haven't in a long time where I'm oh, yeah, Star Wars can be, more than just entertaining or more than just something that feels a week-long fast stage. It can be really good. It can hit you in a special place where you want to believe. And so I kind of want, what I'm saying with Rise of Skywalker is I want that to continue. I don't want to go to the theater.
Obviously, we want the trend to continue.
Right.
But it is I'm sure a lot of us have gone through this as lifelong fans of Star Wars. It's just ups and downs all the time.
If
Yes,
the Knights are
it is. It's a
in
roller.
it
It's a huge roller coaster.
for 2 minutes, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So why is so much riding on the Knights of Ren?
Because it's so
Do you need to
anime,
ask?
dude.
Yeah, I was
It's so Akatsuki.
It's Akatsuki Organization
Yeah.
13.
Dude, I was in, it's kind of spoilers, man. I was in
Groups.
the Ralph's, and they had a Ralph's bag, and on the bag were some knights. I didn't look too closely.
You're just oh,
Yeah, knights.
Yeah, I just want to envision you scaring some poor elderly person who's just
Ralph's-
trying to get their food
Ralph spoilers.
and you just scream the Knights.
The
Yeah,
Knights.
you start running away.
The Knights of Red. I swear one of them had an axe. I'm not even kidding around. Like a giant.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
What's cool about this episode of Frame Trap, I think with the fall season, we talk a lot about big games, huge releases that a lot of people are playing. Some smaller stuff this time around, but certainly huge for you, Huber. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I want to talk to you about Shenmue III.
Shenmue 3.
And I guess my first question is, was it just constant love the whole time? Did your feelings on it evolve? How did it feel to finally be here?
Constant love.
Constant love.
Constant appreciation.
And was that appreciation just, hey, this exists? Or, hey, this exists and it's exactly what I want it to be?
It's mostly what I wanted it to be. Obviously, there's some concessions because of the way the development of this series has gone. Combat is just not good. It's not that good. It's not broken. It's not terrible.
Is it a step back?
So explain
think
the
it's a step
combat.
back.
Explain the combat and why it isn't good and why it's
Yeah.
worse than games that came out a very long time ago.
Yeah. First of all, they just removed throws. Completely gone. No throwing. No grabs. Can't even grab an opponent. So just punches and kicks. The movement is stiff. You know, you move kind of really slow.
Yeah.
For a series that is so rooted in what martial arts is, every fighter you face feels the same.
Sure.
When really everyone should have their clearly defined style and feeling. Yeah, and just the animations and stuff. You know, when you hit people, it feels like you're hitting a brick wall instead of a person.
So, I guess how often are you fighting? And the reason I asked that question is how. So, like, if the fighting is not good, how much does that detract from the overall?
It detracts a little bit. Like, the moves do have some impact. Like, the elbow feels like a shotgun blast. So, like, it's comical in a way, which makes it enjoyable because it's so ridiculous, you know? So there is that. Like, it does have its moments. There are times when, like, there are glimpses of it. You see it. Like, you'll do a cool combo, then they will, and then you will. Like, really cool blocks and exchanges, but it's, like, so rare for everything to kind of come together for that to happen.
I feel like that shotgun blast elbow that you're talking about fits with that very distinct Shenmue vibe.
It does.
You know,
That's
that Shenmue awkwardness that is its own kind of humor in a way. Yeah.
Like combat was never the best part of Shenmue games. It was always fun and functional, but it's not the biggest. It's not a deal breaker. It's not, you know, this game is ruined, I can't play this. It's alleviated by the fact that you're not always fighting. It's alleviated by the fact that some of the fights will be QuickTime events, like in the previous games. So we get those really flashy, cool QTEs.
Yeah.
And then sparring, training is different from an actual fight. So when you're training, you have to manually enter moves you obtain from scrolls, move scroll, and that's just repetition, which factors into like the RP of martial arts. You're just like do x square, x square, just over and over and mastering and leveling up your moves, which is weirdly meditative and addicting.
How much do you need to train throughout the game to be effective?
A good amount, and that is where I think the strength of Shenmue III is how everything feels meaningful and impactful. Money. So the best part, right? To just simply exist, to walk around, to run, to train uses stamina. To replenish your stamina, you need to eat food. To eat food, you need money. To get money, you need to do jobs and sell things, you know? So, you can gather herbs and gather capsules and sell them. You can exchange them for move scrolls, so you can either get like money or tokens or move scrolls. So just the way every single thing in the game kind of feeds into itself is really, really balanced and well done. Like every morning, you know, you have your routines. It's what it's all about.
Right.
You wake up in the morning, you go for a stroll, you hit the dojo, you do some horse stance, some 1-inch punch, some sparring.
Are you
Grab
talking
a meal?
about? Are you talking about your real life or Shenmue 3?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question that I have going in for this is, especially for you, you wanted Shenmue 3 so badly because you wanted the story to continue and eventually conclude.
Yeah.
The story does not conclude in Shenmue 3. How does that sit with you?
I knew it going in, so I'm fine with it.
Okay.
We knew before this thing even was made
Yeah.
that there needed to be a Shenmue 4. This is one step closer to the complete package. So I was never worried about what's to come, what may never come.
You're just focused
I
on
was
the now.
focused on this and this alone. This is the story. This is the moment of Ryo's journey that we are playing, and we'll worry about cliffhanger endings and what may or may not come down the line.
how significant is this step? I mean, comparing the story that is presented here to Shenmue 2 and Shenmue 1,
Yeah.
I think, especially since
Highlight, Ben.
so much time has passed,
Yeah.
that it raises the expectations naturally.
I don't want to give any story beats away, so I'm going to be really, really vague.
Yeah.
But we get to dive into and author Ryo's past. There are optional moments. It's some of my favorite stuff in the game. Optional moments after a long day. You come home to Shenhua's house. You have conversations with her, and you talk about childhood and home and Japan and what your parents are like and your friends.
What her
Any
life was like.
biohazard talk at all? Or
Resident Evil?
Yes.
No Nemesis, no Mr. X. No, you can't talk about Last of Us. We did say that we are a gamer, though.
Yeah.
Our Ryo is a gamer, so
that's an option?
yeah.
Okay.
It's like, what were you like?
just say I am a gamer?
It's like who? What were your friends like, or like how did you roll around as a kid? Like what type of kid were you? And the answer is gamer, brawler, or bookworm.
Yeah.
You can choose one of the three. I'm a
Actually,
gamer.
choosing between brawler and gamer is difficult.
It was very difficult. I
gamers.
paused for a long time.
I want, that Ryo voice. I am a gamer. Like, yeah.
I'm a gamer.
Yeah. So Shenmue 1, especially at the time, like there this phrase is so overused, but it's actually true in the case of Shenmue. There really was nothing like it in terms of the minutia of the world and how much you could interact with and how much it tried to bring realism about and have kind of this openness to it. Obviously, since games have evolved, that concept is not as I guess novel anymore. And so, what are the ways I guess that Shenmue kind of carries that legacy forward?
So instead of
Shenmue 3.
instead of trying to revolutionize, I think it's definitely focused on nostalgia.
Okay.
It definitely has to pivot towards, hey, we want to mimic 1 and 2 and be like 1 and 2 and remember that we're not trying to, be the most expensive video game of all time anymore and do crazy new things. So I think by leaning into nostalgia, I think that was the right play because now it feels like those older games, which in this case is a good thing.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense because obviously being a crowdfunded game with a certain size budget and a certain size scope, having a lot of people mess that up though. A lot of people don't take the right path, and so I think being like, okay, this is what Shenmue is, and we're going to honor that, and we're going to try to recreate that sensation rather than do all of these things that maybe we can't do. Totally. I think that's a smart approach.
And to be brutally honest, like, my expectations were very guarded. The way, like, again, I went into this so in the place of this shouldn't exist. And if it's a complete train wreck, you'll always have 1 and 2. It's like a remake too, same thing of like, oh, if I don't really like it, like, I didn't think remake 2 was going to be bad.
Right, I know what
but
you
that
mean.
similar feeling of like, if it's bad, you still have
the original.
Right.
So,
I just kind of get the sense with what you're saying based on like how the characters interact and how you mentioned the word highlights when mentioning the story, that my assumption is that it's kind of giving you exactly the feeling you would want it to give you, where it's like they really wanted to make this game. Like they had a very clear idea of what they wanted to say. And so like if you are a fan, if you have been following these characters, like this feels right. You know, even though it's been so much time, you're kind of just able to slip right back into it.
Totally. I mean, it's got problems, you know, and reviewing it and putting that hat on and really like cutting it deep. You know, you can really expose it. Like, you can really expose Shenmue 3 for its flaws. But coming at it from that place of just, let's go, you know? This is a gift from the past. Like, we are lucky to have this.
Right.
You just settle into it. And again, because the story's so cool.
Yeah.
Like some of the story stuff didn't work for me. Like some old characters feel kind of shoehorned in a little bit, but I don't want to go into too many plot details, but like I guess I love thinking about the plot, but the presentation could have been a little better. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now that I get to look back on it just as like vague plot details, I like it even more than kind of the act of experiencing it. Yeah. So
the presentation reminds me of a Dreamcast game. Like not a bad way, just how it's like laid out, like it changing scenes and everything like that as the conversations are going on.
It can feel a little choppy and cumbersome, and like especially going back to 1 and 2, and because it was so high budget at the time, the biggest difference for me was in 1 and 2, a lot of the scenes can breathe. There is a deliberate and a pace for 1 and 2 that's a little slower. Like things are very heightened. People take a little longer to speak in between things.
It's definitely Shenmue is a slow game, without a doubt.
Whereas,
but I think you can say Shenmue is the original Shenmue is also choppy and cumbersome in its own way, even at the time.
Definitely. But there are like big, because like just going up to someone in Shenmue and talking to them is like pretty awkward and cumbersome, right? But it's those cut scenes where you really feel it. Whereas in 3, the cutscenes are kind of static.
Sure.
We'll get a little zooms, but in 1 and 2, they really sweep the camera.
I get
take
what
their
you're saying.
time.
Sure.
Like, really get a sense of the mood. They'll like show some environment shots for a couple seconds before then going back to the conversation. And 3 is just kind of like static.
Sure.
You know? So.
You mentioned reviewing this game and the difficulty of that, and that makes a lot of sense, because I think as a reviewer, particularly if you have maybe a genre of game that you feel maybe a little bit more confident in, you fall into that classic game reviewer thing where it's like, okay, I can communicate that if you really like this type of thing, you'll probably like it, and if you don't, you won't. You know, it's a very basic thing to say. I understand, but you learn how to signal to the people that would probably like it. You learn how to cast that net. Shenmue 3 is such a bizarre example, because it's not just like if you're a fan of this, it's like if you want to continue this story
from 20 years
that
ago.
stopped multiple console generations ago, that is trying to mimic the presentation at that time. Like, there's just so many strange qualifiers that you don't have to think of with other games in the same way.
Like, it's wild, Ben, thinking that at one time it was the most expensive video game of all time.
Right.
You know, we're coming, like, that means that if we were doing it again that way, that means Shenmue 3 would be like Red Dead Redemption 2 release, you know? Shenmue 3's coming out with this Rockstar budget.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not even that is an alternate timeline or something.
Right.
So we're coming at it from just this really bare bones Kickstarter cobbled together, you know, doing our best.
You just, like, everything that you just said, it's really crazy thinking about the timeline of Shenmue and how you never know how things are going to go.
Yeah.
Because at the time of Shenmue's release, I mean, it was on magazine covers. It was mind-blowing. It was so expensive. Like, it felt like an event. At least it felt like an event to me. And then you just had everything that happened with the series and Yu Suzuki and Sega in general not making consoles anymore. And, like, then that downfall, and then suddenly Shenmue 3 is out.
Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. And yeah, it'd be completely different if they were like, hey, you know, we're just gonna get our feet wet. We're just gonna remake Shenmue 1 and 2. Like, that would even be a weird and difficult thing. But Shenmue 3 in particular. So, thinking about Shenmue 4, right? Assuming that happens, I think with Shenmue 3, no matter what, no matter who you are, part of your evaluation is kind of like reconciling with the fact that it's back.
Yeah.
Shenmue 4, you can't really do that again.
No.
then it's already back. And
Higher expectations, higher stakes.
Right. So
Getting closer to the end.
right. So how does that what sort of frame of mind are you going into Shenmue 4 now that you've finished Shenmue 3?
Combat.
Good.
Let's rise to the occasion.
Do you expect that to happen?
I do. Yeah, I think combat is the
platinum
weakest.
in there.
Yeah, I think combat's the weakest part of the game. I don't think you need platinum levels. That'd be incredible.
Okay,
I know you're totally kidding. I don't even think it needs to be as good as Yakuza, but as responsive and hard hitting as Yakuza maybe.
He'd actually.
But it's just so different, like Yakuza is all about brawling, and Shenmue is all about martial arts. And I really want it to just be like watching Ip Man, I always bring up Ip Man just because I watched it recently. It's been on my mind.
Yeah, you brought it up like 100 times.
Yeah, I just want to.
Shenmue.
I want that feeling, of really awesome martial arts, kind of like Rise to Honor, but not. Remember that?
Yeah, the Jet Li game.
Yeah.
I think it was fun.
And it's so simple, right? It's just like, all right, attacks are on the right stick, and do that. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I think that is an immensely frustrating thing about games. Is there are these games that come out, they don't do super well, so they don't justify a sequel, but they had really good ideas that no one ever picks up with and runs with.
Yeah.
The only things that really take off are the things that sell a lot, which is frustrating. But
yeah, I think the path too of the Kickstarter helped, because every single time I saw Shenmue 3, it looked better than the last time. Every time,
right.
Trailer comes out, it's looking better. So
I get the sense that they are really trying to do right by the fans.
Yeah.
And I think that always carries a lot.
Definitely.
Like I think that is something that carries a lot with Bloodstained, is you really got the sense that they were trying to honor the legacy of Castlevania, and that
because Iga just bleeds that.
I mean, yeah.
Metroidvania.
That is Iga.
Like that helps so much that Yu Suzuki probably has had the storyboard and art direction. Like you probably had so much of this already planned out, so from day one you have like years of a head start on your development.
yeah.
That's gotta count
You
for
have a
something.
vision where you want the story to go, at least.
With video games in particular, it can be difficult because sometimes you end up waiting, a couple of years. Sometimes you end up waiting 3 or 4 years. Sometimes you end up waiting 5 or 6. In the case of Shenmue, you've been waiting a very, very long time, and obviously it doesn't take you as long to play the game as it does to wait for it, and that can be frustrating sometimes, where it's just like you're so ready for more. How do you kind of feel in the process of waiting for whatever comes next?
I can wait as long as need be now to continue on. And 3 lasted longer than I thought it would. I expected to beat it in a weekend, and it took me like a full week.
Wow, for
like
you?
5-6 good nights, I
mean, you savored that thing.
I savored it. I was chopping wood for hours.
Yep. You sniffed it and you said, put it back in the oven.
Yeah. Like there's obviously a part where
it up.
It warns you, classic video game, like, hey, are you sure you want to continue on
sure.
here? Make sure you're
You're
ready to
that, yeah.
So it's like, I got some loose ends to tie up.
It never happens, but I think when you have that question and they're so blatant about it, like, hey man, this is it.
Yeah.
Like you have the fear of, I hope something doesn't happen and like I can't correct it. Like you just that fear of not being able to
go back.
Yeah. Well, Hubert, it's good to have you talk about Shenmue 3.
We did it
on a frame trap.
Yeah, man.
We did it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you did it,
and it lived up.
I feel like you willed this into existence.
You did it, Huber. Good job.
And
you Suzuki.
About the wait, saying you can wait, as long as you need to. Not going to be too hard when that Resident Evil 3 art comes out. What are we talking about? This man finishes one dream, he's got another one.
What Huber wants. Huber
Yeah, we
gets.
still got Dino Crisis before Shenmue 4. I mean,
give it time.
I am convinced that Dino Crisis will come back.
It's got
based
to.
on everything that's happened.
It's got to.
There's a new Half-Life game.
I know. It's crazy.
Hubert
knew everything.
We would spend a lot of time at game trailers talking about things that should come back, and I am not kidding. I think it's pretty much happened.
It's pretty much like everything.
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 4 is coming.
Still waiting on Dark Cloud.
Yeah,
back.
Dark Cloud
Still waiting
3.
on
Let's
Dark Cloud.
go.
Yeah, and siphon some of those powers.
There's a couple.
Yeah,
There's
share
still a
the
couple,
wealth.
There's still a
Fantasy
couple.
Star Online 2!
Coming out.
It's happening!
There's really only a couple big hitters of all time left, and it's like Ape Escape is a big one. Huge following out there wants Ape Escape, and there's one huge one still. My mind just went blank. I'll think of it. It just went into my mind.
Okay. All right. Some Japanese RPG.
I forget.
Okay.
It'll come.
We're
It's been a
gonna
long day.
Yeah.
not really very related to Shenmue at all, but a game that I had no hype for that I've gotten to put in some time with, and I'm really liking. Like it, and those are always the best moments when you go in with nothing and you come out with a lot. And that game is Phoenix Point.
Phoenix Point.
So Phoenix Point is XCOM.
I was gonna say, isn't this like the game that looks like XCOM?
Yeah, it's
wait.
not just
It's not
look.
just. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
no.
Okay.
It is XCOM. So
But it's not XCOM.
no, it is not
name-wise.
XCOM. So
Lore wise.
yes,
Okay.
the guy kind of a guy behind XCOM is making this.
Got it.
Oh,
The
okay.
original,
Some
not,
kind of
not
John
Firaxis,
Carmack
not
making
Firaxis.
Some sort of Bloodstained situation.
The guy
Yeah.
behind the original XCOM, not the Firaxis XCOM, but Phoenix Point takes a lot from Firaxis XCOM. Are you with me?
Yes.
You following?
100%.
Okay, like down to the interface, just so
Nice.
much. But it's really, really good, and I think the thing to say out of the gate with Phoenix Point that is always a good reminder. And it happened with XCOM 2, and it's happening with Phoenix Point, where just kind of the general conceit of what XCOM is doing, those really tense, you make it by with the skin of your teeth, you have to deal with loss constantly, that kind of strategic tension. Darkest Dungeon gives a very similar feeling to that. And so if you're somebody who likes that struggle, the highs are so high and the lows are so low, you can definitely find that in Phoenix Point. But I think what is cool about Phoenix Point, and I haven't seen too many games do this, is there is so much XCOM in this, to the point where if you've played XCOM Enemy Unknown or XCOM 2, you're going to be able to slip into this, especially with the pretty solid tutorial that they have, where they go over everything, but it doesn't feel like they're playing the game for you. They're just sort of smartly introducing these concepts and then sending you on your way. What is cool about it is the changes that they add account for a lot. One of the biggest change is they talk about having realistic ballistics. And so in XCOM, right, one of the things that people always make fun about is like you're right in front of somebody, but you miss them.
Yeah.
Or like you miss, high percentage chance shot or something. The way Phoenix Point works is a little bit different. And so what you can do is you can just generally target somebody, or you can zoom in and you actually get free aim. And
That's.
it's kind of like that, yeah. But like, say they're behind cover, but their like leg is sticking out.
Oh.
You can zoom and target that.
Target kneecaps?
Yeah, yes. Oh, yes.
Man, that's my favorite thing to target,
Yeah,
dude.
so-
To go for the
Kneecap?
kneecaps.
Oh my god, dude. That's just like wounding someone.
Yeah.
For life, crippling them. You're
And so-
crippling people.
You have to make these
Like
decisions.
D&D, man. Go for the kneecap.
It's not just like, can I hit the thing or can I not hit the thing? It's like, okay, I can hit the thing, but I can only hit, this little part that's sticking out.
Yeah.
And then there are other decisions that play on top of that. So, like, you can target weapons, you can disarm people, and different body parts that you disable will have different effects to the point. So you're fighting these, like, the developers describe them as like these Lovecraftian creatures, these sort of mutated from the sea organisms.
Cthulhu freakos.
Yeah. They're very fleshy and grotesque and cool, very sea creature like, and so you can target different body parts. And like, let's say this one enemy is really causing you trouble with one attack. If you hit the right body part that issues that attack, they won't be able to do that anymore. So you have all of these decisions to make, which is really, really cool. And rather than it be percentage, you see like the color of their health bar will the whiter it is, the higher your chance.
Nice.
And the enemy design also plays into that in pretty interesting ways. I'm only like maybe a couple hours into the game, not super far by any means. But like there's these super basic enemies, like the most basic enemies in the game. They have these shields. And so they will put these shields down, and so it's like, okay, I can use a grenade, which is a limited resource, to blow up that shield so I can get around them. I can try to target these different body parts. I can use Overwatch, so when they move, they can't have their shield down. And just all of these different decisions just with that one enemy. And then there are other enemies like that. Like there's an enemy that goes invisible, and so it's like, well, do I want to disable the thing that makes him go invisible? Super interesting tactical decisions. And you have a lot of flexibility with the action point system as well, where, like, if you get caught, you'll still be able to move around, and it just feels like a more universal pool that you can do more things with. People have really talked up the vehicles, which I haven't really gotten to mess around with yet. But the vehicles seem really good. Obviously, you can transport people, but you can also attack.
Can you get vehicles in XCOM?
No, not.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
remember.
think so,
I don't
right?
remember any vehicles.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's a cool addition.
Yeah, and the other thing that's neat about it that it plays into is there are destructible environments. So, let's say somebody's behind cover, you can blow up a wall and then just shoot them or
That
make your own.
geomod technology.
Yeah. So that's vehicles, which I haven't experienced yet, can also do that and break open cover and stuff. But, the other thing that's really interesting, too, it's pretty much right out of the gate, I've got these 3 factions to work with, and 2 of them want me to betray this other faction, and there are different paths that you can go down. And all
What's
3...
the faction they want to betray?
So the faction that they want to betray is they want to betray these, like, tech guys. So there's new Jericho.
How are the tech guys? How are they?
They're definitely my least favorite.
Oh, okay.
My favorite ones right now...
Okay.
Are these like new disciple guys where they're like, you know what? We can use this virus that's happening. We can use these alien life form. We believe that humans need to evolve. And so we're going to...
These guys are
Cold guys.
sketch.
Yeah. Oh, they're super
They're
sketch.
so
They're
sketch.
super sketch. But they're like, we're gonna fuse with them and become
Oh
greater.
my god.
And so you get basically these 3 different paths to go down. You can emphasize technology, you can emphasize military might, or you can emphasize genetic mutation. And right now, the new Jericho guys, the military guys, and the genetic mutation guys want me to raid the settlements of the tech guys. And so you have this interesting dynamic at play already. And so like the new Jericho guys were getting attacked. And so I went and I helped them and I bailed them out. And then my points went up and they're like, hey, we still don't trust you, but maybe do some more things for us. And so that interaction is cool. And what I like about the story presentation is it's pretty light, and it's not super innovative storytelling, this menace that you have to deal with. I feel like I'm being pulled in enough interesting threads, and I have decisions to make immediately.
Yeah.
And so it feeds into the satisfaction of the strategy, where it's like, I'm not just fighting. I'm not just doing these missions. Like, I'm thinking about the world and how I want to align myself, which is cool.
Nice.
I think that's good.
Yeah. That is good.
And so, it really takes a lot of what XCOM does well and just adds kind of its own twist on it. And I don't think that's going to be enough for some people.
Sure.
But if you
Tactical
like that,
RPG junkies
Yeah.
are sure to
When was the last
devour
XCOM?
this.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
War of the
Couple years.
Chosen was a couple of years
Okay.
ago. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I want to say 2017,
Oh, okay.
2016,
Well, sooner than I thought.
something like that.
Okay.
I did not get to play enough War of the Chosen, which is a shame. But anyway, back to Phoenix Point. One criticism that happened right before I left to shoot this thing is there was a mission that I was doing that was giving me some trouble. And they were like, the threat level is medium. And what you had to do is you had to... the enemies just seemed like they would keep coming. And I had to destroy these 2 different alien towers. And I was focusing too much on the ground units and not the towers. And so I was getting overwhelmed. And I was like, well, I'll just redo the mission. And it gave me a completely different configuration. It was randomized.
Whoa.
And so it was the same, I believe it was the same
Objective.
threat level. It was the same objective. It put a tower like right next to me. I was able to destroy the tower in one turn, and the mission was cleared, and it was the easiest thing ever. And I was like, wait a minute.
So you can just keep reloading until you get an optimal...
So I don't know. This is just one example, but it was something that raised a flag.
You
where I was like,
to-
the disparity in the layouts of these missions seemed crazy. And the first layout made sense, where it's like, okay, I'm being pulled in these two different directions, and I have to deal with these two different things. Whereas this other one, it just spit it right out in front of me, and it's like, this is a problem.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm worried about that. I hope that that is not... Maybe that was just a weird, anomalous thing that happened, but yeah, I'm curious if that will be a problem down the line.
Yeah, because you could just keep re-rolling.
Right, yeah, it makes you think, like, hey, if I'm struggling with a mission, I'll just keep re-rolling. So.
Weird.
Very weird, very weird. But cool game.
Nice.
Cool game.
Sounds cool.
I don't know if it's as cool as Shovel Knight King of Cards.
Oh, Shovel Knight King of
Shovel
Cards is
Knight.
real cool. I love this game. So yeah, Shovel Knight King of Cards. Like the previous two character DLCs, the first one was Plague Knight. Played around, you go through some of the same levels you've gone through before. They're laid out different. Spectre Knight, same thing. King Knight is like that. It's the biggest one out of all of them. It's longer than Shovel Knight too.
That's how you know Yacht Club Games is legit.
Yeah.
Longer than all of Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight has been going since like 2014.
This is crazy.
And they're like, yeah, this is the biggest one.
Yeah. And there's also a card game in the game that's really fun. A really fun card game. Like, I don't really like card games that much most of the time, but this is a good card game. Dude.
I mean, is the card game mandatory?
No,
is it triggered?
it's not.
Okay.
Like, it's optional, but it's like part of the story, but you don't have to do it.
Nice.
But it's pretty, like,
I
I'll
love
just
card
explain the
games,
card game
Red.
real quick.
Is it better than Triple Triad?
It's kind of similar. It's like, when I think of Triple Triad, I think of the layout of like 3-3-3 or whatever that. It's like that also.
Okay.
The whole point of the game is most of the time is there's like gems on the board, and your objective is to get your card on the gem, and once the board is filled, the game's over. But you can like move cards, you can push other guys' cards out of the way, you can like destroy their cards. The map changes also like depending on who you're fighting with. I don't really like want to give away who you play against in this game, but if you've played Shovel Knight, you will recognize people in this game. So you'll be playing people that you may know from Shovel Knight, and some of the things they do to the board change up.
You're telling
very
me I
fun.
get to fight Kratos from God of War?
Yes. One of the things is like there may be like some rocks on the map, so you can't push cards off so easy like that. Just like if you twist, you could also buy items that let you cheat in the card game, because you're playing as King Knight in this game, and he's not necessarily a good guy or anything like that. He's kind of a bad guy, but you could just buy like things with your money to like cheat, so you could like flip your cards with someone else's like that. Just like cool little things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So that card game is really cool. So you said this was an optional thing. Is there a strong incentive to do it that will help you on your adventure?
So there's like 3 specific like bars, taverns you go to play people, and each place has a certain amount of people you should beat to like progress. I haven't finished everything, so I don't know yet. But to like you have like different level cards you can buy. You can buy cards, and by beating certain areas, you unlock a new tier, like rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 cards, stuff like that.
This sounds very...
So I don't know what happens when you do everything. I haven't finished it yet.
This sounds like very substantial. This is a
Yeah,
lot.
you may get like some items or something like that. I don't know.
And you just access it from the main menu of Shovel Knight?
It's in the game. It's like actually in the game.
No, I mean the whole DLC.
Yeah. So how it's worked in the past was there was Shovel Knight, then there became Plague of Shadows. I don't know if that was listed separately, but then when Spectre Knight came out, Shovel Knight just became Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, and those two were included in that. So if you have Treasure Trove, you will get this for free.
Got it.
So Spectre Knight and Plague Knight, what was so exciting about them is how different they were from Shovel Knight himself. How does King Knight play into
continuing the tradition, King Knight plays very differently from Shovel Knight. So King Knight's main thing is like a charge. He kind of does like a Wario charge almost, I would say. And when you charge something, he like gets air and does like the Super Mario World, like the spin. They get a little spin thing, you can like destroy stuff with that. But
the spin is amazing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's all I've got.
So like think of the Wario charge mixed with the spin from Super Mario World. You do both, but you could chain this stuff together. So like if you hit a wall, you go up in there with the jump, you can do your spin jump and land on something else, then do an additional charge.
Nice.
So there's a lot of
Combos.
of like platforming combos, like charge into this, spin into this, charge right here, spin right this. And the game, like the other two, what I think Shovel Knight does really great, or a lot of them, is every level they seem to introduce like a little new mechanic per level. Like one level there's ice, so you can like ice skate through the level. There's one level where there's like green blocks you jump on, they bounce, and there's one level where you can't like jump off certain things like that.
That's really cool. I think what's so impressive is, especially for it being DLC, especially for it being inspired by 8-bit and 16-bit games, and again, like it being so long since the original game, that they're doing so much that feels fresh and new and exciting, and not just a retread of the same old stuff.
Yeah.
Wild.
As you progress through the game, you get new items like Shovel Knight. So you get like I got like some sweet fire sword, man, just launching in the air. You like to spin, kind of like who's spin it? It's like a spinning, like I can't think of who it is.
Like the hammer in Monster Hunter.
Like
World.
kind of like that. Like the item in Ninja Gaiden, the old ones you get where you spin into the blade. It's kind of like that. I was like, oh, this is sick. Get like a cape where you can reflect stuff back at people. So you get items throughout the game. Just like how it was kind of like how Shovel Knight worked. Like Shovel Knight would get new items like that.
Yeah.
King Knight also gets a lot of stuff like that.
In terms of difficulty, how does this rank up against the other Shovel
I would say
Knight
it's kind of the same.
Kind of the same.
Kind of the same. Yeah. What I remember is Plague Knight being the hardest for me at the time.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since I've played that.
Getting used to like the arc of Plague Knight's attacks, I think was
This is like so, like a lot of the Shovel Knight characters, I think there's like a growth thing of just getting used to how they work and getting comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Probably like 30 or you probably in a couple levels you'll get it. And the game eases you in very nicely.
How are the boss fights?
Great. I don't really want to talk about a lot of the things you fight.
Sure.
But there are boss fights. They're not necessarily the same as Shovel Knight, where Shovel Knight, you'd go to like a guy's lair, you go to the end, there's the boss, like Mega Man or something like that. This is not necessarily like that. A lot of levels are just like, you'll go through, that's the end. But there are bosses, but some of them are just kind of on the field. Almost like Super Mario Bros. 3, like how the original map was. There's characters on the map running around. You could run into them and fight them like mini bosses.
Cool. So you said this was the biggest.
Yeah,
of
it's the longest. Yeah,
the things that
the
came
most
out.
Levels. Yeah.
How do you have any idea what we're talking about in terms of hours?
So I could tell you. I think I looked at my original Shovel Knight file on my PC, and it was like 3 hours to beat it.
Okay.
I didn't do everything, but when I beat this, but I didn't finish everything on this either. It was 5.5.
Okay.
Shovel Knight and base game was only 3 hours.
If you just like, you can go through that game fast if you know what you're doing.
I feel like it was longer.
I feel like it was longer for me my first
I feel
time.
like it was longer.
I'm just saying what my time was.
Yeah. No.
It might not have been it might not have been my first time playing it. I beat that game a lot.
Yeah.
I have a proposal for you guys. It's way too hot in this room, and we've got a whole show ahead of us. So I'm gonna turn down the air real quick, and you guys keep talking about Shovel Knight or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Wars.
Or Wars.
Shovel Knight's awesome, man. I want to play this DLC.
Did you play the other two? I forgot. Dude, killing me, man.
I know.
They're great.
I finished Shovel Knight.
You got them, though. You have them. They're there. They're there.
Yeah, I'm like really
I always
enticed.
forget they added Kratos
Yes.
into the PlayStation version.
So
What about the Battletoads?
That's the Xbox version.
you haven't played Spectre Knight?
No.
He hasn't played Spectre Knight or Plague Knight.
Okay,
I know.
I'm just gonna say this: the world in general, all the people of the world, however many people there are, have not appreciated that Spectre Knight DLC enough.
It's good.
I liked Plague Knight.
It
I thought
took
it was
me-
good. Spectre Knight was awesome.
It took me a long time to get to Hollow Knight. Finally did that.
Yeah,
Now
but
I'm gonna go back.
like you're like, hey, this is you've seen the light. Silk Song. I just say Silk Song, and now you can understand.
Today we decided that Silk Song is going to be shadow dropped at the Game Awards. We decided.
Huber, you can't pull this shit.
We decided. During the Shenmue 3 stream, we made it official.
Here's the problem. You say things that I haven't even thought about. Like, you're setting me up for disappointment. If Silk Song is shadow dropped to the Game Awards, I demand
it's
that
over.
whatever
It's
stream
over,
that
man.
we're doing,
Yeah.
we just end broadcast and go play Silk Song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
One thing you talk about is Spectre Knight that made it so good is I think the story.
Yeah.
And
He's
I
a
think
cool character.
I think King Knight has a story going on there also.
Yeah, and I liked It's been a while, but I really like.
been a while.
Yeah, I like the characters in the hub. There was just so much personality, and that was obviously a strong thing about.
Yeah,
the
the
other
charm
games.
that is in all the Shovel Knights definitely carries over to this. The same
Okay.
like type of presentation.
Is the hub different that you're in?
I believe it is, from what I remember.
Okay, cool.
Dude, you got me itching to play these.
They're great.
Itching.
They're not too long.
They're
super
the
chill.
other ones came out at
They're super
busy
fun.
times. It always comes out at a busy time. Like, what are they doing? So busy right now.
They were working.
Shovel Knight is a lot like Mario 3 or Mario World or, pick your favorite classic platformer of choice. Where, like, I feel like there's so much you can consume where it's like, well, this was good, this was bad. And it's like that gif of you and Bopopolis. This is, like, that's how I feel playing Shovel Knight, Where you're just in it. You're in the moment. And you're not...
Yeah.
You're just happy.
Shovel Knight, yeah.
You're just happy.
Definitely a good time. It's worth mentioning that Treasure Trove never came to Vita or 3DS, so this will not be on those platforms either.
But we've got
You
Switch,
got PCs,
PS4,
yes.
PC,
Xbox.
Is that it?
4 platforms, yeah.
Engage, I think.
Maybe
There was
on
a-
Linux, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, there's still quite a lot of options to play. But yeah, if you have Shovel Knight,
Doesn't Ben strike you as someone who had
Linux,
an Engage?
An N-Gage?
Yeah.
I wanted
believe it.
one.
I believe it.
I wanted one.
I believe it.
They had this Elder Scrolls game on N-Gage that I wanted to play.
Oh man,
They had Duke Nukem 3D, and I was like, I have this on PC, but I want to play it on Engage.
I didn't have an N-Gage, but I had a Tiger Gamecom,
Whoa.
which I also believe had Duke Nukem on it.
dude, it's the '90s. Duke was
Yeah. There was a Sonic game that I had on the Tiger Gamecom, and Virtua Fighter. I believe it's been ages, but I think Virtua Fighter and Sonic. Yeah.
How many people do you
Good
think
time.
watching this right now own an Engage?
2.
Not owned. Own.
2.
Currently,
I'm
they have
gonna
it.
need somebody to send me a picture
Send pics
of
to Mike
them
Huber.
watching Frame Trap or listening or whatever
With their
with
N-Gage.
your N-Gage.
Yeah, send pics to Mike Huber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tweet me.
That could be a thing on this show where we just have an N-Gage wall. It'd be great.
Man, I really want to play Plague Knight now, Brad. You really sold
It's great,
me, just
dude.
so you know.
I
Wait,
think
you want to play
so-
Plague Knight or
all
King
of
of
it.
Cards?
All of
Yeah,
it.
He
yeah,
hasn't
all
played
of it.
any of them.
Hubert,
So
You got me
I would
itching.
say like the quality increases as you go on
Yeah.
through them. Like Plague Knight, I really like, but I think it's the worst out of like the newer ones. But I really like it.
But you can get
so
through
you
all
think
of them
King
in
of
like a
you think King
weekend,
of
right?
Cards is even better than Spectre?
I mean, I'd maybe tie it because Spectre's they're super different to play. I really like the card game in this though too. I think it's really well done.
And the thing that's so nice about Shovel Knight, it's really not a commitment.
No.
You're just like,
No,
I'm going to
it's
play Shovel
easy.
Knight. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad in its
So
own way, but
like the levels, you remember like a lot of the old levels. There was like the checkpoints that you could break.
yeah.
There are those, but like a levels, and I feel like in the older ones would have like 4 checkpoints. And this one, there's usually like 1 or 2. So you can
Nice.
get through levels pretty quickly in this one, but there's more levels.
Cool.
So like you could beat a level if you just want to chill out for a little bit. It's not like as nearly as daunting as a task.
Nice. You sold me.
Easy to get through.
Hard,
Oh yeah,
Brad.
great music as always. Great. Just fantastic. But yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic.
I think it's time for a Shovel Knight retro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But like it's a no-brainer for all of us here.
And you took that so seriously.
Let's go.
One game,
dude.
easy. We can do it.
Yeah.
Guys, it's the end of the year.
Oh, it
The
is.
end of the year.
And so there was no forbidden word, but we are in an end of the year caught in a frame
Oh my
trap.
god.
That means you will need to combine your strength to
Okay.
complete this task. I have different categories for Jeff Keighley's and Kyle Bossman's The Game Awards.
The Game Awards.
You, together, will have to try to tell me which nominees are in these categories.
Oh, okay.
The more points, the better. We'll see how many points you have in total,
Okay.
and if that will be enough
To
to break you out
Damn,
of
we
the
gotta
frame
get out of
trap.
here, dude. I don't want to be in a Keeley trap.
All right. The first category, we're starting off with the one, is Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 nominees in this category. Can you name all 6?
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Yes.
Control.
Yes.
Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Resident
Yes.
Evil 2 Remake. The Outer Worlds.
Yep.
Death Stranding.
Yes.
Yes, Death
You're
Stranding,
missing one.
more. Shoot, what was it?
And
Devil May Cry 5?
no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Oh, you're right. You're right.
No.
No, you're right. People were
It
pissed.
should be.
People were pissed. I forgot
It
about that.
should be.
Disco Elysium.
No.
Outer Wilds.
No.
No. Shoot, what was the last one?
I'm gonna TikTok.
I know.
Oh, no Fire Emblem either.
No.
Shoot, what was it, dude?
Anything on Switch? Pokemon?
No.
It is a Switch game.
Fire Emblem?
It is not
No,
Fire
it's
Emblem.
not Fire Emblem.
Luigi's Mansion 3?
10 seconds.
Legend of Zelda?
I don't remember. I can't think what came out this year now.
Mario Maker 2?
Mario Maker 2? No.
No.
What is it?
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Oh, I forgot. It got carried over. That's right.
Wait.
Because it came out December
Yeah,
last year.
I can see why you
That
guys
doesn't
tripped up.
count. No, doesn't
No,
count.
I mean, it counts.
I mean,
I just forgot.
It is, though.
I forgot.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's there.
Came out last year, damn it!
Talk to Keeley, man. Bring it up with
That's
him.
the way it is.
Keely, I don't approve of this one. I don't like this.
I mean,
It should be
I think
January
Smash
1st.
Ultimate is good enough that it deserves recognition.
I agree.
Okay.
But last year,
But
it's a 2018 game.
They do it.
They do it in
yeah.
December, though. That's the problem.
I know. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Talk to the demons. All right.
Damn demons.
Family game. There are 5 nominees. Family game.
Mario Maker,
Yes.
Smash Brothers,
Yes.
Luigi's Mansion.
Yes. You family man.
I just like Nintendo games. Pokemon, probably not.
No.
Concrete Genie.
No.
No.
Dreams.
No.
No. Shoot, dude.
They're all Nintendo games.
Damn families.
Ring Fit.
Yes.
Ring Fit. Wow,
Ring
nice.
Fit.
Good pull, Huber.
You've got one more. That last one.
Legend of Zelda?
No.
Shoot.
Pokemon.
No. He said that.
Fire Emblem, no.
I'm
Nintendo
gonna call
game.
it.
Okay.
No,
we already said
Mario.
Did we say Mario Maker?
Yeah, you said Mario Maker.
Tennis.
Mario in the
golf.
Olympics?
Mario Tennis Golf.
Well, tennis golf
That
Olympics.
sounds fun.
It is Yoshi's Crafted World.
Oh, Yoshi! I forgot that came out too.
Yoshi strikes again.
Damn.
All right, next category. 6 nominees again.
Oh my god.
Audio design.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yes.
Battle. No.
No,
No.
not Battlefield.
No.
Death Stranding.
Yes.
Control.
Yes.
Yes. Shoot.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Yes. 2 more.
Shoot, dude.
Outer Worlds.
No.
Great sound. Good sound.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
No.
No.
That's a snub.
Yeah.
That's a snub.
I won't say anything.
Shoot, I can't think right. I don't know.
Shit.
All right.
Yeah,
so
what
you
is
got
it?
4.
Wait. Days Gone.
No. All right. The last 2 are, and this one will hit you. Resident Evil 2 remake.
We didn't say that?
Shit.
I thought you said that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I really
I don't-
thought. No. He
I don't-
didn't. I just. For some reason, I thought he did because it's Mike Huber and I
Yeah.
expected
Pretty
that.
sure I didn't miss it. Maybe I did. Yeah, no. Resident Evil 2 remake
Oh.
and Gears of War 5.
Oh,
audio
Gears.
design.
Okay, cool.
Independent game. We have 5 nominees. Independent game.
Disco Elysium.
Yes.
Outer Wilds.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
3 more.
Does Life is Strange 2 count? No.
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
No.
Oh, really?
That's a snub.
I thought that got on.
That is a snub.
Oh, shoot, dude.
Snubbed.
I don't know. Snub.
I just love saying that, dude. I love that.
Snubbed.
Is like, dude, snubbed for awards is like one of the best gasoline on the fire.
So funny.
That's-
Snubbed.
Like,
You got snubbed.
and it's even better when you don't even let the person finish. Like, hey, did you see that? Snubbed.
Snubbed.
You got-
Yeah. So the game or snubbed.
Snubbed. You got 3 more, guys. This is your weakest one
3
so
more
far.
I
for
can't think right now.
what the hell category is this?
Independent.
Independent.
Game.
3 more for indie.
There's at least 2 of these that you should be able to get.
Come on, I got a couple.
A Plague Tale.
Good guess. No.
Snub, dude. That is an actual snub.
All right. So the 3 that you didn't get: Baba Is You,
Oh.
Katana Zero,
Oh, Katana Zero.
You reviewed
man?
that. That
I
one's on
reviewed
you.
that.
Untitled Goose Game.
Katana Zero. Wow, good for Katana Zero.
Okay, best score in music. Our
Yo.
final category.
A Plague Tale.
Actually, no.
That's another snub. The music is
Smash.
phenomenal.
Score in music.
Smash?
No, Smash. Is
What?
Not on there.
What?
No music for Smash. It has everything.
I'm just telling you. What
It's
the
like
category.
it's like a jukebox.
Outer Worlds.
Plague Tale was best narrative though. It was a nominee for best narrative.
Outer
I
Worlds?
did see that. No.
Music.
Score in music. Score in music.
Call of Duty: Modern Warfare.
No, we have gotten none of them.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. is
Disco Elysium.
No.
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
No.
Not Resident Evil 2.
No, God no.
You're missing 4.
Control.
No.
This is crazy. Oh, Shadowbringers.
No.
Oh,
Snub, dude. I'm done.
snubbed.
I don't even care anymore about this.
Snubbed.
Yeah, it's a snub.
Such a snub.
That is.
I voted for that.
Yeah, that's a snub. That's a slap in the face.
You got 4.
I'm mad now, dude.
Some of these, come on. You got
Life
it.
is Strange 2.
No.
Dude, I can't think right now.
Score in music.
What the heck?
Not
We've
Star
said
Wars. It wasn't
so
out.
many big ones. Fallen Order.
No, it wasn't. It can't be nominated.
Yeah. Dude, we've said so many big score hitters. Metro Exodus, Sayonara Wild
Yes!
There's one.
Sayonara
Yes,
Wild Hearts is
one of my
them.
favorites.
Yes.
And really, I honestly can't think of any others.
Off the top of my head, no.
The ones that you missed, you're gonna kick yourself.
Some Nintendo stuff. Brad.
I mean, Luigi's Mansion
No.
3, no.
All right.
Mario Maker, yeah. It's like what? Fire Emblem.
Cadence of Hyrule,
Cadence
Deep
of Hyrule,
cut.
yeah.
Deep cut. Respect.
Death Stranding,
Okay, yeah.
Devil May Cry 5.
Devil
May
May
Cry 5.
Cry.
I remember one song from that game. No Shadowbringers?
No
Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers
What?
is such a snub.
All right,
No Shadowbringers, no Smash?
Those,
Sword Show sucks.
yeah, that is like unbearable. The
right.
snubbery.
I'm upset.
Yeah.
Unbearable.
hurts.
The snubbery
You know what?
is
then?
maybe the best.
The demons can just win this
Is
round,
maybe the
right?
best.
I want to
way
know what
say
Bloodworth
that.
thinks about this.
Bloodworth's upset.
Bloodworth will have to redeem the Game Awards.
Bloodworth, come on, dude.
All right, let's see how many you guys got right.
Not a lot.
Snubbed.
So you got 17
Once you started saying
out of a total 27.
you just like, that was it, dude.
You got 62%.
Okay.
So we got a D.
We got a D. We passed, I guess.
You passed.
D's get
You
degrees.
passed.
D's get degrees.
All right.
Not top of the class.
So you guys are going to need to combine your efforts to break us out of this rain trap. But before you do that, we actually have something new on this. Something new on this show that if you've watched the Easy Alice podcast, you've already been privy to. We're partnering up. We're doing some business deals with The Roost. They're going to be doing some new sponsors for us. Don't have any sponsors just yet, but we will in the future.
Takes a couple months to get the wheels turning.
Yeah, to get those palms greased.
Yep.
But right now, we have a $250 tier if you'd like to be shouted out on our podcast that we do. And of course, this is one of those podcasts, and we've got some people to shout out. Our first shout out is to Elthanas. Thank you, Elthanas.
Shout out.
Shout
Do we do it at the end
out.
or all of them?
I'm doing all of them.
All right.
You do you.
Yeah, I'm doing all of them.
Cool.
Next, we've got Greg the TheDarkKnight Kettering.
Shout out.
After that, we've got Caleb Togi Crawford.
Shout out.
Will Schmuck.
Shout out.
And FantasyCritic.Games.
Shout out.
I feel like we just blew everyone's ears out.
Shout out to all of the shout outs. Thank you so much. Are you guys ready to break out of the frame
Yeah,
trap?
here. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Okay. Rasengan, I'll help you do it, like the shout out ones. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
There we go. Got him.
Got him.
Got him. Take that, you damn demon.
Yeah.
Stealing Smash
Demon
from the
scum.
music
Damn
list
demon.
and Shadowbringers.
Yeah. Yo, isn't Shadowbringers like really good music?
Yes, it is.
really, really good music in Shadowbringers.
Yes, it's
I
good.
feel like the snub is physically affecting you.
Yeah. If
Like someone spit on your face.
like you two know, and like I'm sure some people know, like I get hung up on very specific end of the year game awards. Like game of the year doesn't bother me as much as some like obscure random one. Like I'm not saying music
Like
sound
best
and score.
narrative.
Yeah. I really get hung up on like the subcategories rather than like the end all be all.
Interesting.
So I'm like really hung up on that music one.
Snub.
Yeah.
So
Snub.
fun, so fun to say.
This next game, we don't need to talk about. We've already talked about it. I just want to. I'm not even finished with it yet, but I keep enjoying it more and more, and I'm really surprised that it exists.
Path
and
of
it's as
Exile.
good as it, no. But that new update is coming.
Nice.
It's coming.
Nice.
I feel it
Nice.
behind me, ready to eat me. No, that game is Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
The reason why I haven't finished it yet, this sounds like I'm blaming her. No, she's been wonderful. I'm playing it with Abby, but things just go slower. Just
For
because
sure.
we got to be
For
together,
sure.
play it, all that
No
stuff.
doubt.
Not a problem, of course. But I was really worried, and this happens a lot with games. This happens a lot with games that we talk about on Frame Trap, maybe to like clue the audience in.
Yeah.
Of course, with Frame Trap, when we're talking about different games, a lot of times we're at the very beginning, or we've
Yeah.
only been able to play so much, and so our opinion is going to be very different. And I think when you're at the beginning of a game, especially, you're probably more inclined to like it, right? It is after spending a number of hours with it, really committing a chunk of your life to it, that things get more nuanced. And I've spent a good deal of time with Jedi Fallen Order, and I was really worried that the sheen was going to wear off, that I thought it was going to be too shallow, that I wasn't going to like the characters, and it just keeps impressing me. So I just did a big climactic battle on Kashyyyk, and that was wonderful, and the fight at the end was great. But what impressed me so much is just like how creative they kept getting with the platforming, and how like
The
that was
wind.
the the pods that bounce
Yes.
you up.
The bouncy
Yes.
pods, yeah.
Yeah, and
Love that.
yeah, and it was just like, I'm always really impressed by games that can do something like that, and it doesn't take you out of the world, where it's like, oh, I can see this. Like, this doesn't feel too goofy. This makes sense.
Like, that is an example of the sliding in Fallen Order. Every time you slide somewhere, I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, this again?
Yeah. So that was
that
actually something
I like sliding. I think it's fun.
I like the sliding too, and I said as much, I think, on the last Frame Trap. I do think that maybe they go back to that too many times.
Too many. To cut two of them out, we're good.
I think because like navigating to a certain part in some of the planets is like you go down the slide to get to a certain area, so
Yeah.
people might have been going back and forth a lot.
True,
And it's
yeah.
like the way to get down somewhere.
Go up somewhere, get back down by sliding. For sure.
The other thing that I want to talk about is just, there's two things in particular. And I brought this up again last time on Frame Trap, but I want to get your guys' opinion on it. New people in here. I really commend Respawn for the way that they evolve battles over time. And I can see how much time and effort they put into the compositions of enemies and how they space them out in a level. In a way, like, you'll be like, oh, I fought these enemies before, but I haven't fought this combination of enemies. Or like, you'll get the bugs and you're like, oh, of course I can use the Force to push the bugs into the enemies, then they'll explode. That's fun.
Yeah.
And then they'll contrast kind of those more chaotic group battles with the really fun, like, dark armored guys with like the dual blades.
Purge troopers.
Yeah, the Purge Troopers. Yes, that's what they're called. And those fights feel completely different than a lot of the other fights that you're doing. And so the strategy that you use against them is different. And it's certainly not difficult by any means, or like the most advanced combat, but it's still really fun, and it's very active, and you feel like things are changing constantly, just enough to keep it interesting. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I was telling Brad, like, I was just backtracking through an area, and enemies that I didn't know were gonna be there just suddenly showed up.
Fun.
Yeah, extremely fun. And enemy composition, I think, is a huge testament of that game. Did you guys, were you satisfied with the combat throughout Fallen Order?
I think the game does a good job of introducing new elements to the combat, slightly like new abilities you get. And yeah, there is actually quite a bit of enemy variety type. Like you brought up the Purge Troopers. There's like 3 different types of Purge Trooper alone.
Yeah.
It's like the 2-handed guy, the axe guy, the gun guy. It's like
Polar there's like 4.
Yeah, there's like a bunch. And like, when you brought up, I was going to bring an example of like the Stormtroopers. Then you get Stormtroopers with like weird alien things and they're fighting. And you can like, do I want to interfere? Stuff like that. It's like, it introduces quite a like few different scenarios. Even like, you could fight the same guy, just where you fight them could change how you fight. So like, you could be up somewhere higher. You could force push someone off. Or you don't got any of that now, so okay, I got to deal with all of this.
Right. Yes, I totally agree.
Loved the options, the difficulty options. Crank that sucker up, and it's gnarly Sword Saint vibes. I was a little weirded out on some of the feedback sometimes. That's probably just my own skill, not being 10 out of 10. But sometimes I felt like some hits were just really hard to read and react to, just animation-wise. I don't know if that's my fault or...
No, I think there's something to this. I'm actually really glad that you brought this up.
Where just like all of a sudden you'll get hit and it just feels like there's nothing you can quite do about it. Again, I don't know if that's just me, but I did feel like that happened quite a bit.
To bring up a specific example, the time where I felt that the most is... There are certain enemies that charge, and I'm like, I swear to God, I hit the dodge in a reasonable time, and it seemed like I should have had enough time to roll out of the way, but there was like...
Like the tracking?
Yeah, it wasn't tracking. It was like a slowness with the roll itself that always felt a little off.
Yeah.
Only with those specific charging attacks, and there would be, and like a lot of other things have absolutely no problem. So I'm playing, I think all of us are played on the Jedi Master difficulty, which is...
I reviewed it on the third one.
Yeah. So that's what I'm playing it on as well. And...
It feels good.
It feels good.
Comfy.
Yeah. It's getting to a point...
Sekiro
right.
For Fallen Order. Right. I don't need it.
That's kind of where I'm torn between, because there are moments where I'm like, this is a little too... Like, it's not too easy.
Right.
But it's like a little too easy, and then I'm like, is that...
We're very familiar with games like this. We've played many games like this. So
Right.
It pushed back just enough.
It pushed back so you can't just like dick around.
Right.
Really.
You will definitely run into situations where it's like, oh, that's how I deal with that. And I think that's what you want, right? You don't want to blow through the game. You want to think about it a little bit. For sure. I agree with that. The other thing that I want to talk about, and this opinion is definitely a lot more formed after seeing a lot more of the story, and maybe this changes at the very end, but in the beginning, obviously, it's pretty front-loaded with story and set piece and just getting the wheels off the ground. But something that I really like about Fallen Order that I think more big-budget games could really benefit from is it chooses its story very carefully. Characters are not talking all the time. You will go long periods of time where you're not learning anything new or getting banter back and forth, and I really appreciate that. Sometimes I think in big budget games, they just railroad you way too hard.
Totally.
And I feel like there's a nice ebb and flow with Fallen Order where it's like, okay, I'm back in the ship, I'm reconvening, I'm getting a little bit more backstory about these characters that I met. They're teasing me with a little bit more mystery. Maybe they don't fully understand this character and every side that they have, but that's something to look forward to after I go on this big exploration and have a good time. I think that is really cool about Fallen Order. I think it does a good job with that. Not going to say it's the most amazing story ever, but I think the presentation
what
works.
I think it does well is it tells a simple story.
Yes.
But what it does well.
Yes.
I think they played it safe, and I think rightfully so, especially on the first outing.
Yeah.
The whole goal, I think, with their storytelling was to set up the premise and make you actually care about these characters.
Yes.
And I think they did that. Now, if they do the second one, I think they can go a little further out if they want to now.
Yeah.
But I think they set up a nice foundation with the story.
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil anything. There's going to be no spoilers. Did you get spoiled at all? This whole the Super Bowl thing, the Thanksgiving ad.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ending of the game is.
Okay, great.
I knew that there are some things that you get that I knew about, but it didn't. It didn't bother me.
Cool.
The other thing that I want to say, and I think this could actually be a point of contention for some people, and this is a criticism that I'd be like, yeah, I get that, but for me it worked. So the exploration, like they do kind of let you go around and do different things. It's actually like not that crazy. Like it's not that expensive. There aren't like tons and tons of secrets to find, but I think it works and it keeps the momentum of the game up regardless of the type of player that you are, where I feel like you can kind of have those moments where you're like, oh, I see that, and then you go over and you open the box or whatever it is, you get your poncho color, and you move on. That like you can kind of spend some time messing around if you want, but you can't get so lost that you lose the momentum of the story. You feel like you're still going to a lot of different places regularly. Would you guys agree with the pacing
it
aspect
keeps
of
the
it?
story focused, but it does give you a good sense of exploration if you want to investigate it.
Totally.
I think they could actually expand it even
Yeah,
more
I'm
if they
sure they
wanted
could.
to.
You know what I really
next
want to
game.
see expanded is the lightsaber as a tool.
Yeah, me too.
Let me like cut through steel and use it in puzzles, you know? 'Cause
Yeah,
the lightsaber
there's definitely
is like,
Sure.
there's
like one of
definitely
the-
room for stuff like that for
one
sure.
of the coolest
Like,
weapons to use
tools
of all time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but it gives me hope for the second one because I think the way that they use the lightsaber and the Force here, again, it's not that crazy, but the ways that they use it are satisfying repeatedly. So I love the stormtroopers that like do the machine gun blast at you and you're walking toward them and deflecting all the guns. That's really, really
so
fun.
cool.
Force pushing the rockets
And
back.
force pulling.
Sure. Yeah. So, like, I think just from a design perspective, even though there maybe aren't that many crazy things that you can do, they made the things that you did do, like, really fun and exciting.
I think they can't go crazy because you were like a Padawan in this game.
Custis.
You're still a pretty young Jedi, unexperienced.
Sure. But I also
Next.
think just from, like, a mechanicals perspective,
Yeah,
I would
there's, like-
rather have it be smaller and tighter than...
Yeah. Of doing like a bunch of
Bigger
crazy
and
things. There's
more
some
janky.
like cool things you could do. You could like, they shoot a gun at you. You freeze them both. They're both like slow mo. You pull them both towards
Sure.
you. He gets killed by his own bolt. There's like cool little things you could do that, but
Sure.
there is room, of course.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think just like hinting at Huber what you want more of with your lightsaber being the tool is there's like a few moments where you use your lightsaber as a light going through some. There's
Love
a
that
few
stuff.
thing you cut
Love
with
that
your
stuff.
lightsaber to get through. I feel like they could definitely expand upon that in the next one.
Yeah.
The lightsaber as a light is really interesting because they kind of introduce it and then they don't really do that much with it. I do agree.
There's
I
a
think
few areas in the game, but
Yeah.
it's not like a really constant thing.
Sure. Yeah. I am so excited to see what Respawn
Yeah.
does next. Man, that studio is just
They
like
are dynamite.
Good year.
bursting with talent.
2019.
Last thing I
Yeah,
want to
they've had a good
say,
year.
a point of criticism. I was actually talking about this with the Patron D&D group, and this criticism is completely correct. I think this game needs fast travel, and it's weird that it doesn't have it. And the more that you think about it, you don't understand why it's not there.
I feel like it's not a problem for a lot of like when you're going through the story.
Yes, but it's
But when
if
you're
you
coming
wanna
back,
take that extra step.
when you want to take the extra step and come back to areas, yes, it is a little annoying, especially
Right.
because some of the areas take a really long time to get to.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, it's something I could totally see them adding later,
Right.
in like a next entry or
Hey,
something.
pick me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, here,
we're
I'm
coming
over
over,
here.
Cal.
Exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, there's even a moment in the story where like that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
They-
I feel like they're so worried about ruining the sense of exploration,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you can weave it in a nice way.
Yeah.
I like when you have to unlock the point and then you can use it.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, even if like in a level, you maybe not in every necessarily every place you meditate at you can teleport, but there's like more places you could get picked up or something.
When you do get into those boss battle lightsaber duels, they're really fun, and the battles evolve in an interesting enough way that I feel like there's genuine tension in them. Like even if you get through the battle in the first time, you want that moment to feel awesome, and it does.
Yeah, feels good. Clashing lightsabers feels good,
Yeah.
which is an important part of that game, and they did a good job with that.
Yeah. You know, it'd be really cool just thinking about the Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy days. We're talking about expansion.
Yeah,
Multiplayer.
yeah.
Lightsaber duels.
I know.
Respawn.
Respawn.
They're making Battlefront 3.
I heard Battlefront 2 is pretty decent now.
probably now, yeah.
Pretty
It's
decent.
been a while.
Pretty decent.
Was that
Okay.
2018?
Word on the street.
You tell me if this is unfair. Like, I actually I actually just today reinstalled. It's
Battlefront
on
5?
No, Battlefront 2
Got
because
it.
it's on Premier Access, whatever. So it's just there. I was like, I want to do a couple of matches of this. I want to check in, and like,
You played recently?
no. I
okay.
want to. I might pop
okay.
into a few matches this weekend just
Cool,
because I'm
cool.
curious.
Let us know.
There's
Let
so
us
many
know.
heroes that I, whatever. Anyway, it's interesting because like even if that game is in a really good spot, there's still this stink on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's such a weird thing.
Totally.
Where that's always going to be in the back of your mind, and it makes
Smells fishy.
So
Yeah.
it's like an object that got sprayed by a skunk.
right.
They took
Yeah.
a shower, but it's still
Right,
lingering.
Yes.
Right, and they're just trying to sit down and have a conversation
Yeah.
with you, and you're like, yeah, cool.
Pour some tomato paste on yourself.
Yeah.
What a great analogy.
Yeah, that is great. The last game that we're going to talk about, so we do these monthly meetings, and this came up on the release schedule, and I was like, hey, I'm curious about that. Not familiar with the series really at all, but that is SaGa Scarlet Grace
Oh yeah,
Ambitions.
I was curious about this.
Yeah, it's a very curious game.
Curious.
So I don't know if this is going to be the right way to open this or not. I have not played very much of it all. Just poking at it, just trying to get used to it. I don't think it's great.
Oh.
But it's very interesting. I'm enjoying playing it despite it being
Flawed.
very rough around the edges.
Sounds like a murdered soul suspect situation.
What a game to pick.
Because it's not good, but I think it is so interesting.
Yeah.
That game, every
I
time I
think
think
it's-
of like bad, interesting games, that's the one I think of.
Yeah, it's the kind of game where like I can't recommend it, but
Yeah.
like if you're the kind of person that loves weird, interesting things, I think you'll be in it. It's
Cool.
almost the inverse of Murdered Soul Suspect, where I think Murdered Soul Suspect is interesting from like where's the story gonna go. So that's kind of one of the roughest things about it is, at least so far, the story is as like it's almost like you put it into a like fantasy story generator where it's like the way these characters are talking, the conflict that they're dealing with, like I don't think you could make it any more basic unless you just like it's so extremely
Is there a
basic, good and
forbidden
evil.
romance between two
No.
warring
Does
kind of
even more
factions?
basic
Does
than
someone
that.
have amnesia?
No. Well, the way that it works is at the beginning, you take a quiz. They will ask you different moral quandaries, classic RPG stuff, and then based on your answers to those questions, you will be recommended a protagonist. I believe it is one of 4 protagonists that you get recommended, and then you go through those stories. I am
sounds
playing
cool.
as a young
Knight.
maiden, a young member of royalty. No, she's not really a knight, although she fights with a sword. Erpina, I believe, is her name. Strange name.
Of course.
It's a hard one that sticks with you. But
Rapina.
basically,
Rapina.
like
Rapina.
the story so far with Erpina is like, hey, I'm gonna go protect my land. I'm gonna go out on patrol. Oh no, my kingdom is being invaded, and we must flee. Like just extremely basic stuff. But SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions, and this was originally a Vita game, and it looks it. But what is interesting about it is all in the mechanics. And so the way that it works is you have this very open-ended structure where you have this open world, and there are different points on the map, and you can just go on points on the map, and you'll be like, oh, I want to hear what this bard has to say, and you'll get some backdrop in the world, and he'll be talking about a unicorn and kind of this legend and myth. And then you go into the forest, and you see a unicorn just pop up, and it's this kind of storybook presentation where it is like a pop-up book. So all the places are kind of like flat, and as you get close to them, they flip up on the world. Which is kind of cool.
cute, yeah.
It's cute. It's cute is a good word for it. So you go and you investigate the unicorn, and then it's a cave, and you go inside the cave, and there's treasure. And so you have like immediately a bunch of different places that you can go.
How are the towns?
Well, the towns they're not towns that you can explore, and so this is
So
something
it's
that
like a pop-up town kind of thing?
yeah. So you go to a point and you just have you're in the town, but the town is just like a
Menus.
menu. Yeah, it's not a place that you get to explore. Yeah, so it's
It's
not
my least favorite thing in video games.
it's not that kind of game.
Definitely.
But everything about how it handles character progression and combat itself is very interesting and pretty unconventional. There are definitely comparisons to other JRPGs that you can make, of course, but I would definitely say that it is far from the standard. So there's no traditional leveling up at all. So you have what is called this retinue of characters. And so you have all these warriors and...
Warriors of Light?
Darkness.
They're light. They seem light. But throwing me off.
Keep you on your toes, Ben.
The way that it works is different groups of enemies that you will fight, they'll have an element associated with them. As you defeat them, they'll drop crystals. You really don't get new weapons. You're just supposed to upgrade what you have.
I like that.
Yeah, and so rather than getting experience, you're getting crystals, and then you go to the smith and you level up not only just your weapons, but individual pieces of armor.
Got it.
So you just
So
bolster
that's
yourself
the
that way.
main form of progression.
Not just that, though. Like, as you get hit, you will get more hit points. So you might go through a battle,
so
and
you
even
turn.
if your character gets knocked out, be like, oh, hey, after the battle, I have 21 more hit points.
So they're Saiyans.
No, it's
Not just if you get defeated or whatever. I guess you get stronger in
it's
battle.
it's kind of like a Final Fantasy II system. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where like as you got attacked, it's like progression through use. So it's like
Nice.
because I am using my
this certain
health
amount of
pool,
things.
Love
I
that.
am getting more, and that also applies to these skills that you have. And it's really, really interesting. So the way that the skills work is you have kind of this action point system that is represented by stars, and every time a new round of combat happens, you get an additional star. And the different attacks, all of your different attacks that you have, take a different amount of stars. So if you do a 1-star attack, it's obviously going to be a lot less powerful or not be able to inflict status effects the way that a like 4-star attack will.
Is
But you
4 the max or 5?
I think 5 is the highest I've seen so far, if that is correct, if I'm remembering correctly. But like, you can't use your 5-star attacks right at the beginning, and so if you have like 5 characters, you can have just one character do a big attack. You can have a bunch of characters do a small attack. So all that is very interesting. But the craziest thing about it is the skills also get stronger as you use them, but sometimes you will use a skill and a character will get a light bulb above their head and they're like, oh, that reminds me, I should use this new skill. And they'll just use a new skill in the middle of combat, get a free action by using that skill, and now you just have that new skill.
That's interesting.
Are
And
they flashy, the 5 stars?
yeah,
the 4
well,
stars?
They're very powerful. So like, there's the spear guy that can do a 5-star attack, and it will just like kill something. So that's really nice. Or you might be able to paralyze them, but we're not at the best part yet. We'll get to why you want to use higher star attacks in just a bit. The most important reason. But that is really crazy. It's kind of this random element, and it's extremely difficult to tell how exactly they're going to trigger. I've had one skills trigger where they're completely defensive, and so you don't attack the unit, but you wait for them to attack, and then you counter. And I just got those. They just happened, and I'm not sure how. But it seems to be encouraging, hey, use different skills. If you use different skills and don't just rely on the same thing, that may trigger something else. And so it's an interesting idea. I think it might be a little bit too nebulous.
Got it.
But at least in the very early goings, I'm getting a pretty steady progression of new things. So that's cool. But the biggest thing about this, and I think this will excite you the most, is the timeline of battle. And so you will have characters be represented in this line. And it might be like one of your party, an enemy, then your party, 2 members of your party, and then an enemy. If you defeat the enemies that are in between party members,
Grandia vibes.
they will come together and form a united attack. So you'll get a free combination attack where everybody will be like, yeah. Nice. And what's cool is on top of getting that extra powerful attack, the cost of your skills the next turn goes down.
Ooh.
And it will go
So it's
down
not those
again if you do
combos.
multiple united
Cool.
attacks.
Got it.
So later, like more expensive skills will change where you are on the timeline.
So it gets
So you-
really complicated.
Right. And so you're like, oh, well, I'm going to spend all these points so I can be here. And the next turn, because I went here, if I kill this thing, I'll have the guys line up and do a united attack. So combat is really, really fun. It's pretty slow, but it's fun. And I think the slowness is aided by the fact that the story seems so sparse. You know what I mean? So not everything feels slow. When you have a story scene, it happens very quickly, and so you're pretty much just focused on the combat. And the other thing that's interesting about the combat is before you go into the battle, so all the enemies are on the map, so far anyway, you see the difficulty of it. So it'll be like easy, normal, hard, and so you kind of almost make this, it's funny we're talking about Phoenix Point and XCOM, you almost make like this XCOM decision of like, do I want to risk this or not? And then you'll have sequenced fights where it's like, okay, you're going to do an easy fight and then a normal fight and then an easy fight. And so that is interesting as well. I'm curious to see how different the other protagonists are and how those stories intersect, because
Is combat different?
yeah, it seems at the beginning it was kind of implying that, and I believe what I've researched, it said that if you've completed one story, like your actions will affect the stories of others. So I'm interested to see how dramatic those intersections are. But yeah, it is an interesting little game, and I'm sure people who are a lot more familiar with the SaGa games can probably speak to it better, but it has definitely intrigued me. You know, we have the I'm intrigued statement.
What?
But
I'm very
yeah.
intrigued by the SaGa series.
Are you George Lucas?
it's nice having, like, December is the perfect kind of game for something like that.
Sure,
Time
yeah.
for something like this, where it's like, this is a really weird little thing that I'm checking out right at the end of the year. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But it is the end of the year.
It is.
It is. And
The end of a decade.
I think when it's the end of the year, you gotta have an end of the year present. And I think today we need to bring that end of the year present with HOTTAKE!
Oh!
And I think we actually might have had a similar conversation on Frame Trap about this very thing before, but I want to bring it up again because it's really sticking in my craw. I want to talk.
Sticking in your craw.
We actually already mentioned it a little bit when we did the Caught in the Frame Trap.
Snubbed.
Snubbed. Yeah.
Snubs?
I want to talk about.
Top snubs.
Can we talk about snubs next time?
We are talking about snubs now, kind of. So
Snubs.
it really bothers me that if you come out in December, you probably won't be considered for Game of the Year in any capacity from a lot of publications.
You mean because they do it before the end of the year?
Yeah, where they're
actually?
like, oh, those conversations are already happening. So we've got, and I'm not necessarily saying these games are award winners or anything like that, but just things like Phoenix Point or Shovel Knight or SaGa or whatever aren't part of the conversation because I think a lot of places are doing it beforehand. They want to be, and this is just my own speculation and opinion, but they want to be at the end of the year. They want to be at Christmas time where people are probably going to pay more attention to it. They want to come out when everybody else is doing it
their
again.
stuff,
to
Get
yeah.
the
that
clicks,
yeah,
go
right,
on
right.
vacation.
All of that stuff, which is understandable,
Yeah, totally.
of course. But I think that is flawed if you are trying to do an annual look back. It just seems off to me.
It
You
does.
should consider the entire year.
Because you're riding into then doing it immediately, right? You're going through November. There's so many video games in November. All of a sudden it's December. Okay, what's your go-to? Okay, done. It's like you need that little
that time
break,
to
that
play.
end of the year break
Right.
to really settle into it. To really just settle in and take stock of the entire year that's come.
Luckily, we have that luxury.
Yeah.
Since
We
we,
do.
are our own bosses.
Yeah.
But, and I get this, and like I'm not angry or disappointed with anybody who thinks this, because on one hand I get it. I'm sure there are people out there who are like, you guys take too long to do Game of the Year.
For
Like,
sure.
Everybody else already did it. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, you're probably going to say a lot of things I've already heard. So how do you respond to that? Where just from an audience perspective, if everybody else is doing it at this time, does it hurt those that wait?
I don't know. I get it. It's hard to have it both ways, right? It would be really nice to have it so timely, but at the same time, I'm always, well, I don't want to talk about Last Guardian, but I'm always very, very, very happy with our discourse and our discussions. They always feel thorough, from the heart, And again, obviously, it is a bummer that it does take a little bit longer than most.
Right.
But to me, it's worth it at the end of the day.
So with us, I like it because I get to feel nice and comfortable about the pick I'm making.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't feel
No
rushed
regrets.
into. I don't feel rushed into a certain pick just because of time.
Yeah.
Like we get the time to do it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've really come to cherish with Easy Allies, and this is without question a luxury, but I think as time has gone on, we've especially prioritized like, hey, we're going to take the next month or a few weeks or whatever it is, and we're going to try to get caught up as best we can. That does not mean every single ally plays through every single
All 9
game of the
allies
year.
will not finish Disco Elysium. It's just never going to happen.
But it gives people an opportunity to, I think even having somebody check out something adds so much to the discussion.
Totally.
And they can reinforce or ask questions or have a perspective that maybe, it's just extremely valuable. And I love that time of trying to get caught up, trying to look back on things that I've missed. I think it is so important and it adds a lot
I agree.
to the discussion.
I agree.
Another element to this HOTTAKE that I wanted to ask, and maybe could be a little bit more contentious, I suppose, but the way games are now is changing, and it will continue to change. I think the old way of, your release date kind of defining your eligibility is maybe a little short-sighted, where there are so many games now that feel like in a given year they add as much as a standalone sequel would, but are not considered just because they are it's a huge update or it's an expansion or something like that. And I don't know that makes sense if we're trying to. I think because isn't the ultimate goal what is the best thing of the year?
Mm-hmm.
What gave us the most satisfaction? What was the biggest surprise? All of these things, where like comparing something at launch versus now, like it just doesn't seem like an even playing field all the time.
It's slightly nebulous, but I still think it's really important to know that a game came out that year. I don't know. Like, it is nebulous, though. Like, I understand things like Fortnite and stuff.
Right.
What if in 2021, Fortnite invents another genre and, like, starts doing something crazy that we cannot even guess right now? And then it's just, it's a slow year. Mm-hmm. Maybe not a lot of big heavy hitters come out. A lot of big studios are in between. And all of a sudden, Fortnite just has a crazy year. Like, wait, was that game of the year? No. But like, still, for me, like, if the game is out, it's I don't know. I don't even know what the hell.
I get what you're saying, but sometimes it almost feels like a weird reshuffling for arbitrary reasons. Like, let's say Fortnite season whatever is just so crazy and so substantial that you got more out of it than other things, and just because the way that it released, I don't necessarily think that should be a knock against it. So, like, a good example here is just the way people are talking about Shadowbringers, where if you just analyze what is in Shadowbringers and the way people are talking about that story and that experience, it seems like you can go toe-to-toe with standalone experiences. Yeah. And so it feels weird being like, and this may happen in our own awards, I'm not saying that this is the moment of change. This is just one opinion. It seems weird to just be like, okay, you can only be in the expansion category.
I think that's fair. I think, like, if we change those personally, I would think it'd be okay to nominate. If we want to, we just have to get rid of best expansion category.
Sure.
I'd be okay with us nominating an expansion, I guess, for the game of the year, I guess.
I agree.
Are you okay with that?
If it's literally the best thing we've played all year, it feels weird just to disqualify it just because
I think if
it's
something,
an addition. I don't know. Like, yeah.
It's weird, but yeah, I think it's important. Something's got to clearly be defined.
We need
a release of the year, whereas Fortnite is kind of nebulous because they're just like adding, subtracting, whereas Shadowbringers and Iceborne are clearly defined releases of the year. I do think it's important.
They're treated as expansions. It's just like, do we want to consider an expansion eligible? And I could go either way.
Yeah. I can see all sides of it, and I'm not, like, going to die for it.
Right, yeah.
But I do think there's value of clearly defined, like, this game came out this year.
Do you think perhaps there's a better way of reorganizing Game of the Year?
Maybe.
Like, there have been moments in Game of the Year where I feel like we would do like certain genres just because. And I think one of the big reasons that we do that is we just want to nominate
Things.
certain games. And so it would almost, just as like a thought exercise, I guess, like think about every game that we want to talk about. Just make a giant list.
Yeah.
And then maybe just organize that list and go from, this is the 50th best game of the year and then go all the way down to 1, rather than bicker on what classifies as what. Because even trying to classify things.
We can, but we kind of follow the more traditional way of how people award games also.
Yeah.
Of like your game of the year, your soundtrack of the year. We kind of follow that template because it's a very popular and successful one.
For sure.
I mean, we could change it.
I guess what I'm just trying to say is how can, because you talked about being snubbed, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's always where we get the most frustrated is this thing deserves more attention and we know it does. And the way that we're highlighting it doesn't feel like it quite captures the
I just feel like that's the
full
nature
essence
of awards, though.
Sure.
When there's so many games to pick from and like only so many categories we could do, I guess. Like I feel like there's always going to be something because there's so many. There's 9 of us, so like some people's different like opinions on a game may differ from each other too. So like someone might not feel that game is important and someone else will. So someone could always feel burned, but to me that's the nature of awards.
Yeah, and I think that's why I love the subcategories so much more than Game of the Year, because that's the place where you can highlight and champion the lesser-known games. Over the years before I was in the industry, that's how I found out about so many Swimmin' in Sevens. Like, best narrative. What's this random nominee? Let me go try that out. Like, here's a cool random game. Like, those subcategories, I think, are so important and so fun. Whereas Game of the Year, like, everybody knows the nominees. Everybody knows the prime suspects and what it's going to be between. Like, all right, which of these 3 or 4 games is the game of the year? Whereas all those other categories, the possibilities are endless.
I think that repetition can really hurt it, though, and that's something that I've tried to express, I think, to the allies before, and I've never done a very good job of it. But I do get that sense sometimes where just kind of collectively as fans, people are like, oh, it's obviously going to be these games for Game of the Year. And I think just mentally that kind of puts blinders on people where they already go in with the list. And it just doesn't seem like the most fair or comprehensive way of doing it, where it's like if you go into the conversation thinking these are your only options, you're going to get the same outcome every time, and then your game of the year is just going to be the same as everybody else's. And don't get me wrong, I think those games are probably extremely good and highly qualified games. And so that gets to the question of, we talked about like, hey, not all 9 allies are going to finish everything. Do you think maybe there would be merit in being like, all right, 9 allies, before we do Game of the Years, even if it doesn't happen until March or whatever it is, you've got to finish all of these games. Do you think there's value in that, or is that too much?
I feel like that's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic, but I truly believe everyone should get one. I feel like every ally should be able to say, "Hey, I want all of you to beat this game." Straight up. Because I want every ally to beat Life is Strange 2. Because it's like literally one of my favorite games of all time.
Totally, but let's say Damiani is like, I want everyone to beat Shadowbringers, and then you've got
to a degree.
Then you've got A Realm Reborn, you've got Heaven's Ward, you've got Stormblood, you've got Shadowbringers, and then it's like, well,
to a degree, like
sure.
like an MMO, okay, or even like a it would be like Persona 5, like
right,
Witcher 3, but at the same time, Persona 5 was like my goatee that year, so like I wish everyone had finished Persona 5, That isn't that crazy of a request. Whereas if it's your number one
That's a long game, dude.
Yeah, but if it's your number one game of the year, and we're Easy Allies, and we're here to say what our game of the year is, don't you want all the other allies to
I think that's a good idea, but I'm
game
really against like forcing someone to do something even if they don't enjoy it. Like if they're playing it and they're not enjoying it, they really don't like it, and you're saying you have to finish it. I think that'll just make them resent the game more.
Sure.
Well, I think the other side of the perspective is if we could treat the year like that, I would love that. And I actually think it would be feasible, where it was just like, okay, like let's all go play games and we'll keep talking throughout the year, and it's like, okay, everyone play this. I think you could do it if it was more nebulous and loose, but the way that we function as a collective group, and then even as a smaller pool of reviewers, is there are a lot of things I'm not playing just because I'm working on the review for something else, where it's like, this definitely isn't Game of the Year, not even close to Game of the Year quality, but I'm playing it because it's my job and it might be very long. Totally. And so that's why I think a lot of these gaps happen, where it's a lot of cases it's like, no, I totally want to play that. I just have to play this other thing.
Totally.
And so that gets into a much wider conversation of reviews or whatever. But
and free time, of course. It's
free
like
time.
I'm not going to use all my free time.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill myself trying to do every single thing if I can't do it.
But it is an interesting conversation.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But like as a group, we're always constantly evolving our Game of the Years. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we do.
So I think that's healthy. We don't have something necessarily locked in stone, one formula.
Are there any categories that you would like to see or that you could think about? Or
I'm kind of
areas
a
that are-
fan of like, sometimes I like less categories. I don't necessarily need best strategy. I don't need every single genre covered, like ticked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, it's just like what we are interested in for categories.
Best shotgun.
Yeah, like
I
we've
think
had
that's happened with
we
you.
did do that. Like
Yeah.
that's goofy and we could do that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Great year for
But
shotguns.
like I really love like best game of the year, obviously. I really love like soundtrack of the year. That's like a big one for me too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
totally.
it's like I don't like some categories I don't know if we need like other people would do.
Brad, I echo that sentiment. I feel like that's something I've tried to champion over the years is less categories can be very much the way to go. But I agree with you, Huber, as well. I like, and this is something that we didn't do at Game Trailers, but I do like it. I like coming up with categories that feel uniquely defined to us.
Sure.
Totally.
And, aren't just going to be on the same thing that you're going to see on every other list. I think that's valuable and interesting.
Like the Model 680 shotgun in Modern Warfare
Right.
needs to be celebrated. It needs
I
to
think
be
it
praised.
probably will be, based on that enthusiasm. Yeah.
Like we'll have best pre-order incentive probably again.
I want to get your opinion on this, because maybe it would be outside of the scope of best Monster Hunter game released in 2019. Maybe it would be outside the scope of what we should do for awards. But like, there are other content creators that I watch out there that I love and think are really good. Do you think that would be inappropriate for us to highlight other people who are making content on about video games?
Best content creator, like us doing that?
Yeah. Do you
Like
think that'd be,
honestly, there are our awards, and we can do
Yes.
whatever the hell we want. I feel like.
Sure.
I think that's like an interesting award to highlight something that maybe a lot of outlets don't do. I'm not
What do you
opposed to
think?
it.
No opinion.
Okay.
Just like celebrating other outlets. Is that
Not even other outlets,
or like
but
give a streamer of the
Like
year?
a shout out to someone.
Like a Keeley type.
just like there are. So every once in a while, I'll encounter like a YouTuber where I'm like, "Oh, that's a really like you have such an
video.
interesting voice."
Highlight
Like,
specific videos they do.
yeah,
or
and
like,
I know I'm being very vague.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to limit it, but like there are just people where it's like that's a good perspective.
like
You're
highlighting
not,
people's work.
yeah, highlighting people's work
Cool.
where it's like
Yes, I'm in.
you are doing something that is beyond the boilerplate of video game coverage.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Sure.
Okay.
Like no clip or something.
Yeah, but like
things
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Specific.
don't like Game Awards do like best esports player and like best like streamer or something like that, best content
Yeah,
creator,
yeah,
best personality. They do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Best leak.
Like I think there's best leak.
That's
That's a really
a
funny.
funny award. I don't. We'd have to talk about that one, but that is a funny award.
I think there's
Best
room for
snub.
discussion on that.
I agree.
As long as we all feel good about it, yeah.
We should do the best snub.
Best snub.
For our
our
own
award.
Goaties. So we do our Goatie nominations, and then
spiteful
we have
award.
another one
That is a spiteful
says
award.
the best snub.
Hubert,
So it's
I think we need to do best snub. Oh,
You gotta convince Bloodworth.
Hubert, you didn't.
yeah.
You didn't. Okay, I gotta retell this story.
Okay.
Spoilers for the Easy Allies podcast episode that we just shot. So know that going in, dear audience. So at the end of the last Easy Allies podcast, Kyle was like talking about bets, and he was like, "Oh, this score outcome is inevitable because Jones, you're not going to be here next week. You're going to be at the Game Awards after party." And Jones was like, "I didn't get invited," and so we made fun of that fact and told jokes about how he didn't get invited to the Game Awards. And Brandon Jones for Best Snub would be amazing.
I love that.
Jones got snubbed.
Best snub, Brandon Jones. And his the picture, dude.
just
of him like sad or smiling.
The smiling face. Yeah. Best snub.
If we could get him like to film a bit outside of the party,
Yeah, like let me in.
Yes.
thumping inside. He's
That was funny.
That was that HOTTAKE went all over the place, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Are we ready for some emails?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Are you ready for some emails?
Yo, we're seeing Sonic together, right?
Are we?
Please.
Driving up here to see Sonic?
Come
Are you
on.
out of your
Ben,
mind?
Ben,
Yeah.
I need to sit next to you. In
absolutely.
The theater.
Out of your
Absolutely.
mind? I'm not doing that.
Ben, if I'm not sitting next to you in the Sonic movie,
Do we dress up?
no. We go, we have popcorn and a soda, and we watch Sonic.
This is certainly not your fault because you have been the champion of this for sure. I'm amazed that we don't see more, like collectively as a group, see more movies together. And we have to see the fucking Sonic movie together.
I feel bad.
Maybe on a work day if I'm here.
I feel like they don't happen because I always get really bummed when all 9 of us don't commit. I'm the very like, we all go, or like, all right, we're not going. Because I don't want
that has happened.
I don't want people to be excluded and left out.
No. But like with this group, it's inevitable. So we gotta just accept.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, man.
we gotta accept this.
Just take the few victories you can get, dude.
Sonic.
Huber, our first email comes in from Brandon. Subject very close to your heart and Brad's heart as well. Hello, everyone. Over the past month, with the release of Death Stranding and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, much like every highly anticipated game that comes out, there are bound to be spoilers, and these two are no exception. However, on the launch day of Death Stranding, when I opened YouTube, I saw in the top 8 suggested videos a 9-hour, 20-minute edited supercut of all Death Stranding's cutscenes. Curious, I opened the video and clicked around.
Wait, what?
Why? Don't do that.
I'm just reading the email.
I know.
Letting it play 3 to 5 seconds each time, I did this enough to determine it was legit. This wasn't a fan video fake. The full story was out there. A week later, Jedi Fallen Order had multiple video thumbnails with various spoilers on its release day as well. And with what I saw from Death Stranding, I closed the tab immediately. This has left me with one thought. Somehow, those who are posting these spoilers had copies of the game before it being publicly available, which to me means they are review copies. Not necessarily. And that means they are breaking some form of embargo. Not necessarily. I know in Death Stranding's case, the latter portion of the story couldn't be discussed until 4 days post-release. What is your take on this? How do you feel about seeing or hearing about people divulging the entire game, or at least its most pertinent points before anyone can realistically reach those spots themselves? Thank you for taking my email, and as always, stay easy, fellow allies.
It's in today's era, it's harsh realities. It's on you. It's always going to be on you nowadays. I'm past the point of like spoiler. Unless we're on a podcast like this discussing the entire history of video games at any given time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like, is that what this is?
At any time we can just talk about a game, comparing it to this game's ending, or like everything's fair game, so then you want to give a warning. But like if a game you care about or a movie you care about is close to release, you cannot stop the internet. And the internet is going to spoil it immediately. Well, sometimes even before. So you got to give a little bit of a buffer. It's on you. Like Episode 9, great example. Episode 9 Star Wars coming out. I'm off the internet 1 week before until I see the movie.
Leaks are all over the place.
Period. The entire week, I just will not go. I will not open an internet browser. That's it.
The other side of that coin, though, is people wouldn't make these videos if others
People didn't watch them. People watch it.
People watch
Like-
them and they get huge clicks.
Yes, for as much as we talk about
Huge
spoilers,
clicks.
and as much as people talk about spoilers,
Yeah.
like people,
People
Eat 'em
love
up.
spoilers.
Yeah,
People
for sure.
love them.
yes,
Sure.
they bathe in that.
Yeah.
They like take the spoilers and they dump it all over.
That's
their
why
face.
if they really bother you and destroy something, then it's got to be on you to guard it and to protect it.
Yes and no. I do wish there was an easier way to opt out of it
Of course.
through the platform
Like some sort of
itself.
filter.
Of
And of
course.
course, yeah, and obviously that's a very easy thing to say, but I
course.
feel like there's gotta be
Like you could take some precautions, like on Twitter, like muting stuff. I guess.
yes.
I'm
you
not sure
can.
about YouTube or whatnot.
You can. It just seems a little bit weird where it's like I want to avoid spoilers and also I have to avoid this entire platform.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite line
It doesn't
up.
feel
But
right.
it's the reality, right?
Right now.
It,
It
it
is.
sucks.
It is the reality.
Like, and right now, it's not the best plan because when I do want to dodge things, like I'll still get spoiled on like the fifth thing in my queue. You know, it's like, all right, Death Stranding's out, gotta dodge the Death Stranding spoilers, but then like, shit, just got spoiled on episode 3 of Mandalorian or so, you know?
right.
There's just so many things that are ready to be spoiled immediately that when it's something high stakes, the highest of stakes, you have to be a psycho about it. You got to be a like Star Wars, you know? A week of no internet. Like it sounds extreme and it is.
Right.
But it's the only way to be
Depends how bad
sure.
you want it.
Yeah.
I think it is. You just made me realize something, though. I think it is good to probably define levels for yourself, where it's like, okay, I don't care if I'm spoiled. I will try to avoid spoilers,
Yeah.
and this is sacred to me.
Yeah.
I will go in a cave and not
Yeah.
be spoiled.
Like Death Stranding, of course.
But yeah, I think for every person setting up with those things, and not everything can be sacred. And I think the sooner that you,
Yeah.
and of course everybody can live however
It
they
can't
want.
be episode
but-
9 for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't you treat everything like that though?
It seems like it because I love so many things, but really, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Like, I'm okay.
This
with-
whole thing of like these videos, I don't have a problem with these videos coming out or anything like that. If as long as you're not like breaking any rules, like you're allowed to do that. The one thing I wish a lot of them would do is the thumbnail or the
Yeah.
title. Like the thumbnail could totally just screw everything up. Like if they use a more generic thing or something
Yeah.
from earlier on in the game, it's not really as big of a deal. But if
Yeah.
you're showing me something like the final end of the game
Yeah.
on the thumbnail, it sucks.
Yes.
Like that Star Wars commercial showed like the end of the game. And it's like, don't do that.
Yeah, that.
Don't do that.
That's nuts.
That's not necessary.
But at the
goes-
same time, do you
that
know how
goes
many
beyond the bounds of
times?
decency.
Do you know how many times I've been in a room when a movie trailer or a video game trailer comes on and I've sprinted out of the room, I've turned the TV off. Like you can never let your guard down if you're gonna complain
And the
about
thing
spoilers.
is, you
'cause
never
I
know.
complain.
You never know when it's gonna come. Okay,
You never
so
know, but you always got to be ready.
like 2 years ago when Rogue One came out, we went to visit my wife's dad in the hospital, and some of his relatives came. Never met him before in my life.
Yeah.
We're just sitting around talking, small talk, visiting somebody at the hospital. All of a sudden, hadn't seen Roy, just spoiled the ending of Rogue One unprompted. And like, what do I do?
What do you do?
I can't be like, stop
Yeah.
to these relatives that I've never met.
Yeah.
And I'm visiting somebody at the hospital. I can't run out of the room.
No.
I'm just sitting there.
You got to take the hit.
You
at
gotta
that
take
point.
the hit.
You gotta
You
do
gotta
that.
take the
They sunk your
hit.
battleship, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got hit hard. You got hit hard, dude.
What are you gonna do? But
No
you never
win.
know where it's gonna come.
No.
You never know.
It's scary out there, dude.
Yep,
You get hit by a car any day,
Yep.
or you could get spoiled immediately
Yep.
in the hospital.
Episode
my God.
9, ready to spoil.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be a minefield.
It's wild out there. Be careful.
Yeah.
Do your best. And be respectful.
Right.
Like, try to be respectful with spoilers
Yeah.
if you can. Do your best.
Yeah. Like the movie theater.
Don't talk.
Some people see late shows, like myself.
Yeah.
Don't come out of the theater talking about it.
Yeah, do not do that.
Do not talk about the plot of a movie while inside the halls of a movie theater
Dude.
where people are coming and going. Wait until you are away from people.
In shut doors where no one can hear you.
Wait.
It's that Simpsons clip.
Yes.
Where they go see Empire Strikes Back and Homer walks out and goes, wow, I can't believe Darth Vader's Luke's father. And everyone's like, oh.
Yeah. They're waiting in line for the damn movie.
I would love for you to have your own theater just to see the rules that you would impose.
Me too.
Like I just see you like running out with a stick. People are walking out. Stop talking.
Me freaking too.
Our next email comes in from Ricky. Hey allies, I love Ben's HOTTAKEs. They are the best. They make me want to play a similar game with some HOTTAKEs I've heard out there and some of my own. The game is called Fair, Not Fair, or Very Fair. I will give you a HOTTAKE about the gaming industry this year, and each panelist will give it one of those 3 ratings: fair, not fair, or very fair. Here we go.
Okay.
Number 1, Sekiro Shatters Die Twice, this year's Game of the Year, proves that Activision can partner and publish quality single-player games with no microtransactions.
What are the choices?
Fair, not fair, very fair.
Fair.
Yeah, I'd say it's fair.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm going to say fair as well. This one's a little bit weird because it's like they can.
Yeah.
They could at any time.
Yeah.
They just often choose not to.
And like, if you were a record producer, wouldn't you want to partner with Led Zeppelin or the Beatles? So
Huber, I am not okay with you comparing Activision to Led Zeppelin.
No. I'm saying from software is.
Oh,
I'm saying as Activision, I look across the aisle and I see rock stars. Not Rockstar, but like I see legends. What do you want? Sure, we'll let us publish this, let us produce it, and we're not going to do anything. We'll just collect some cash.
Right.
So I don't give them 100% credit for it, even though I should. That's why I say fair and not very fair.
Yes. Both parties are in a position to benefit and
from this.
Both have enough strength in their individual areas to get what they want, which is exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So fair.
Fair.
The studios behind games like The Elder Scrolls 6 and Metroid Prime 4 should not do title reveals and get people's hopes up until the games are much further along.
Fair. Not very fair. Fair. Yeah, you know what? Not fair.
Oh.
Let's get spicy.
Okay, go ahead.
Love confirmation of video games
Acknowledgement.
being made. Love acknowledgement. Acknowledge me, video game makers. That's it.
Yeah, I'm going to
acknowledge that a game that we want is being made, and then whatever, I'll wait 10 years. I don't care. There's a million other things to play.
I think this is like a case-by-case basis of something like, so for example, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Katase got asked about that game, like, when are you remaking this game, so much. And I think it was just like, we're making it. Here it is. God, stop asking me kind of scenario. But like, some games I feel like you don't need to announce it. Just wait. It's fine.
Excuse me. I think when we're talking about things of the caliber of or popularity of Elder Scrolls or Metroid Prime, though, people just want to know they're coming, and there is comfort from that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say not fair. I think it would be fair if it was like they announce it and it never comes.
Yeah.
Or
Scalebound.
it changes into a completely different thing. That's when it's not fair, but I think the confirmation of it is okay.
So like, you can fully feel comfortable about it when it's actually out and you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like
Because like Metroid in the case, it ran into issues that were unforeseen. Like the same thing happened to Final Fantasy VII too. So,
but Final Fantasy VII Remake is a perfect example because like I was just so happy to know that it was
it was
coming.
real,
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's been incredibly long since that initial time.
But
frame.
it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? It's coming.
Again, just comforted by the fact that it's on the way. Yeah, yep.
Heck yeah.
Shenmue 3, same thing.
Yep.
Nintendo will never acquire the studios they work with that make many of their games great, like Next Level Games or Grezzo.
I'm going to say not fair. I could see them picking up Grezzo in the future.
Pretty bold.
I mean, they picked up Retro. Like, it could happen.
Yeah, pretty definitive, bold statement. So I'm going to say not fair. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I feel like I get where this is coming from, where I feel like studios of a certain size, I feel like they have very similar relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have like worked out a relationship with them that works. Like I don't think acquisition is necessarily necessary.
Not saying it's necessary, but we're
Necessarily
saying
necessary.
it could definitely happen.
Sure.
That was the whole thing.
This one is weird for me.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion on this one.
Well, to me, it's like I could see Sony picking up Blue Point in the future. They've had
Yeah.
a strong relationship with them in the past.
But I think Sony and Microsoft are much more aggressive
in picking up
at
people?
Picking up people. Nintendo. That's like Nintendo is much.
Aggressive expansion.
Yeah.
I feel like Nintendo, like a lot of the things they take a long time to do, and they're slower to it.
Yes.
They could come to. I could see them like really rare occasions they pick someone up
They step lightly.
very lightly, very lightly.
Devil May Cry 5 is one of the best games of this year, nay, this generation, and deserved to be in the running for this year's Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Very fair.
I mean, it sounds like an opinion, like he thinks it should be. And I think that's
yeah.
I think
These
that's
are-
fair
these are
to have
takes.
that.
Sure, fair opinion. I had problems with Devil May Cry 5.
All right, let's hear him.
Yeah, it was just the difficulty. It was square, laughing.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Like having to unlock. I wasn't gonna go back when I beat it. There was no chance. Like, give me hard out of the gate. I'm sorry, it killed the entire game for me.
I'm with you. There is a way that you can get it, but it's too... Yeah.
It legitimately killed the game for me.
I get you. I think that's totally fair. It's just like, if you do go back, it's awesome.
I know.
And like, especially now with Bloody Palace, that it really highlights so much of it. And so it transforms the game in a really substantial way and forces you to...
there's things I
unlock
really
the
like
potential.
about Devil May Cry 5, but there's some things I don't
Final fight is
really like.
amazing.
It was a good fight.
And is not square.
No.
By any
No.
means.
No. I think Devil May Cry is a really great game, but there's just other games I prefer.
Sure.
That's all.
Gonna say very fair for me.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Death Stranding, despite its flaws, should be celebrated and discussed as one of the most daring and different types of games to have ever released. It's the most here that is bothering me. It is daring and different, but I think when you say the most daring and different, I'm not sure I can... It is daring and different.
It's very different. Yeah, fair. It's not like I won't go with the most.
Yeah,
But I think it's
No,
yeah.
not the most.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Light fair.
Yeah, if you can be this unique of a game with this kind of budget,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a AAA
Yeah.
game being this different and unique and weird, that's awesome.
Contra Rogue Core is evidence that Konami has put the nail in the coffin on the idea of ever faithfully making another good game in one of their franchises. Not fair.
Not fair. I don't think so.
No one ever dies. Konami.
No
will
one's ever
rise.
really gone.
Yeah, no one's ever.
No one's ever really gone.
It's always darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
It always is dark.
Think about this year and things that we were absolutely certain of just being completely upended.
Yeah.
Now, to the credit of this take, I have currently no faith in Konami.
Yeah, right. This second, zero.
But to say nail in the coffin just seems
No.
needless.
Yeah.
They'll be back.
Like, some of those IPs are too big to be gone forever.
Ever like someone could pick those up, even if it's not Konami.
I
doing
just
it.
what the
don't know.
hell
They
are
could like
doing
license
over
that
there?
out or something.
We need a documentary.
Or they're shutting all the lights down, dude.
We need a documentary about what in the world is going on over there.
I just see you
Like, do they
banging on
just-
their door. Simple question.
going on?
Simple question. Where's Castlevania? Simple question. They'll point me to the freaking nearest pachinko machine.
Iga. I mean, like Mega Man came back, and like
Mega
after,
Man came back.
after Inafune left, it seemed like bad blood with Mega Man. Like he wouldn't come back really.
Mega Man is on the rise.
Mega Man Legends
Mega
will
Man's
return.
back. He's back.
Don't if you were sleeping on Mega Man,
Don't sleep on him.
Don't-
The Blue
That
Bomber
was
is
it.
great.
That was it. But with the very beginning of the show, we were like, things that need to come back. Ape Escape, Mega Man Legends. It's gonna happen.
Days Gone deserves more attention and praise than it was given credit for.
Very fair. One of my favorite games in 2019. Didn't reinvent the wheel, but it did everything really well.
Again, this one is tricky.
So I'll say fair because I think I saw a lot of praise from it from people. Like there were some outlets that didn't praise it. That I think was maybe I necessarily don't agree with, but I feel like I talked to people that really liked it.
Yep.
So I like Days Gone,
It
and I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. And I think there was this air of dismissiveness towards Days
was.
Gone that was not given credit.
You're right.
I don't think Days Gone is an amazing game. You know what I mean? I don't think Days Gone is one of the best games of the year.
The Metascore is a 71. That is way too low for that game. That is an 80, dude. That game is an 8. That is the biggest 8 of an 8 I've ever seen, dude. When I think
is
of
it way too low?
A 7.1? That's like hovering around a 6. That's 0.2 away from a 6.9. A 7.1.
I think I would go fair. I do like Days Gone. I don't think it's an amazing game.
I think it is a solid 8.0. I think it is a really good video game. I really do.
Hey, we're on the Devil May Cry 5, Days Gone,
Which is where the 70 Metascore comes from, because we're on the
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, divisive game.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of goodness in it.
Yeah.
A lot of good ideas. A lot of good moments with characters. But it's got some problems.
Yeah, it's got some problems, but I like the game.
Valve should not have put In the Valley of the Gods on hold for Half-Life Alyx. I'm going to say not fair.
I'm going to say not fair.
You put everything on hold for
I think
Half-Life.
this is a bigger deal.
Yeah. No disrespect.
Yeah.
And hold doesn't mean canceled, hopefully.
And to me, this sounds like they're selling new hardware with this thing. So this seems like a big incentive. Like, put all this on hold. We have more plans besides just the game. We have plans with this new hardware.
Of course, I am saying this with the expectation of being wrong. I am not saying that this is for sure. And I get that people are mad about it on VR. But watching that trailer, I saw something.
The future.
I think there is a chance that Half-Life Alyx, in spite of the absolute insanity of 2020, could be the best game of 2020.
I agree. It can push the genre forward years alone. Just that game. We joke, dude. It reminds me of Avatar. I know everyone gives Avatar a bad rap, but still, when that movie came out, it was years ahead technologically of other movies. And I feel like Half-Life Alyx can do that to VR.
Sure.
Where it's like, wow, other VR games are going to take like 2 years to even match this.
Because the more that you think about Half-Life and Half-Life 2 and how that can be enhanced in VR, like you think about some of the strongest aspects, you think about the immersive world building of Half-Life and how it presents itself. And it doesn't necessarily present itself most strongly through dialogue, but in you stumbling upon situations and viewing the world, just sitting back and watching something unfold. It was impressive then. Like, think about how they could take that with VR and then the playfulness, the creativity of how you interact with that world and the enemies and how they're constantly throwing you into new situations that have you interact with the world a different way. I'm fucking stoked just talking about it.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Cannot wait. Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Waiting for that dog part.
Yeah.
I spent
dog.
a lot of money to play this game. I'm invested for sure. That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Good job, Ricky.
Thank you, Ricky.
Ricky Maru.
Ricky Maru.
But
Coming to Smash.
Hubert, this is a good part of Easy Alice. You hurt me a little bit with that Devil May Cry 5 take.
I know.
But I feel like still respect
at
you.
every moment one of us will get hurt about something.
It just felt so out of touch. Like, it's 2019. You can't expect people to replay your video games. I went through your entire game from start to finish. I'm not going again. I'm sorry.
I think their perspective, and I don't think it's the right one, but I think their perspective is you are familiar with that type of game. You have a competency with that type of game that probably a lot of players don't, and so it maybe felt different to other players. I think they went too far, for sure.
Just let me have it hard at least. Like, let me unlock Dante Must Die or whatever, but like at least give me hard.
Where I disagree with you, though, even though normal was too easy, the combat was still awesome. Like, it was still interesting. I was still learning.
It's
still
awesome,
evolving.
but for me personally, I still need stakes. I need.
Sure. I was gonna say that's a big part.
Yeah.
Like, the combat,
I get it.
Like, the combat mechanically is awesome.
I get
it's great.
it. But and just no pressure or anything, but a huge reason why I think it really makes a case for itself in going back is it is not just things are harder. Things just hit harder. Like, how they structure encounters is different. Like, you feel like you're playing an evolved version of the game. Like, they really take great pains to make the difficulty better. So that helps. That helps soften the blow. But I still agree.
Maybe
one of the best games of the year.
Maybe for goodies, I'll go back and do some Bloody Palace.
I think it will change your opinion.
Yeah.
I think Bloody Palace is really strong. And it's an easy way to hop back in.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And you can choose whoever you want, so that helps a lot as well. All right, last email comes in from Bun. From Software and Sleep. Really like this email. Hello, Alice. I've begun playing Sekiro Shadows Die twice recently, and I'm having a good time.
Excellent.
I've played almost all of From Software's games since the first Dark Souls on PS3. The problem is when I play very difficult games like these, they negatively affect my sleep. I suffer from crippling insomnia, and on any night where I spend a lot of time playing these types of games, I sleep very badly, have disturbing dreams, and I don't sleep long enough for a full night's rest. I typically play games on easier settings because of these kind of stress-induced sleep problems, but I also enjoy the thrill of conquering the certain tasks posed by these games. If there's anything you can suggest, I would love to hear it, but otherwise I will still continue playing. Not as frequently, though, as other games.
So what I would recommend to them is play smaller chunks of the game when you're actually playing the game. I don't know how long of blocks you've played this game, but I would cut that down significantly or half and see how far you can go. Like, cut it down a little bit, you still get problems, cut it down more each session. So, like, if he sounds like he still wants that feeling, just don't do it to yourself that long.
Yeah, as soon as you feel your mood start changing,
shut
it down.
I think he needs to take a break.
Or play during the daytime.
Or play during the daytime, when you have a nice cool-off, like a long cool-off period.
That is actually exactly what I would suggest because, and I don't know your schedule, I don't know your life, I don't know what would happen, but, like, let's say you can only play during the weekends, but play in the morning, like, and then do, like, chill games at night or you know, watch a movie
where you don't have to
whatever.
be like as focused on it.
Dude, getting up early to play games.
I love playing games in the morning.
Hype.
If you have that experience in the morning, then you have the whole rest of the day to kind of decompress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that would help a lot. The other thing, and I don't know again how possible this is, or if this is a different experience than what you want, but sometimes playing it with somebody else really reduces the stress, and just having somebody share that experience with you or offer advice or just something, you kind of just splitting the difference with somebody. So that can help as well. Yeah. But really interesting problem.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
what's up?
I stay up too late. Playing games way too late.
Huber, for like the first time in my life, I feel like I have a reasonable sleep schedule, and it's awesome. And but sometimes I get in the pocket of a good sleep schedule, and then it gets thrown off. So who knows? Next time we have Frame Trap, I could have a terrible sleep schedule. Yeah. I feel like I've had a terrible sleep schedule for like 10 years.
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you so much, Michael Huber, Bradley Ellis, for joining me on this lovely Frame Trap. If you'd like to send an email in, email askeasyallies@gmail.com. One more time, that is askeasyallies@gmail.com. And if you like us, if you like that we have these opinions and make videos about games, you can see more of us if you go to easyallies.com. You can see a bunch of things that we make. A lot of cool stuff. Just premiered Prison of Love.
Prison of Love, yes.
If you want to see Huber lock somebody in and have them experience a game together.
It's very chill. It's very chill.
Yeah.
It sounds extreme, like it's going to be this extreme,
Gauntlet.
like Legends of the Hidden Temple or something, but it's just very chill.
It's
very,
weird.
very chill.
Because I can totally see how this wouldn't read, but when I say you're locked in with Huber, I mean that as a very chill thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Probably, yeah. Yeah, easyallies.com. And if you go to patreon.com/easyallies, you can consider supporting us. We are still very reliant on your support to continue doing these shows. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.